Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
This is The Morning Drive. It's Mira Business FM. So what happens when CEOs follow their passion? There's a question. More and more senior executives are swapping boardrooms for bold entrepreneurial ventures, turning decades of corporate experience into businesses built around passion and purpose. And Dutch Brothers Racing is one of those stories. It's not just about motorsport, it is about leadership, it's about calculated risk, it's about building a brand from scratch and proving that it's never too late to learn and to start something new. Dutch Brothers Racing co-founders Alan van der Molen, a global corporate communications and business transformation leader, and John de Jager is a corporate finance and investment executive. He's advised businesses, investors, and governments across international markets. Join me now. Alan, John, it's good to have you both with us.
Good morning. We're so happy to be here.
I'm great to be with you.
Question for both of you, but I'll start with John first of all. You've spent decades in, I guess, high-pressure boardroom environments. You've managed global communications, multi-billion-dollar finance strategies. Lots of people dream about turning a passion into a business. What finally made you take the leap?
So I think there are two things, Tim. The first is Alan and I decided that we needed to have some purpose to what was a hobby originally. And the second is that we wanted to put the same discipline that's applied in the boardroom to capital allocation and to how you invest with a view to long-term gains that we've been advising clients on in our previous and in our current professional lives. So it's a combination of making a hobby with some purpose and putting that same rigor and discipline around it to try to create a business.
Alan, same question to you, I guess, but with a little addition. Why motorsport? And also, why now?
Well, look, I'm 61. I proudly claim that age. And, when this conflict started, we both wanted to look for things that were invigorating to us, that challenged us, that matched kind of the resilience that we were seeing in the environment around us, and at the same time gave us a real challenge late in our careers. So motorsport is something we both enjoy, we've never done, and we were talking about tracking cars, which a lot of people do, gentleman racers as it were. And I was like, no, I reject that. If we're in, we're all in. Let's start a racing team. And in order to do that, we need to turn it into a business. And that's where we are, competing with ourselves, competing with others, and proving ourselves every day that our experience in the work life translates into the racetrack and vice versa.
So this is much more than a midlife crisis. This is a calculated business strategy. John, when these decisions were being discussed, as it were, pre-decision time, why the business rather than, both of you just, it's a great hobby. It's perfectly natural to move into a new hobby at this point in your career, your life, I suppose. But you took the plunge and you're jumping in feet first.
So, Tim, I think the point about that was what Alan said. We could have had a hobby, we could have had a photograph and a nice track day, but actually both of us decided that would have lacked any purpose. What we're trying to build is a content-first platform, and we're trying to build a business around the story of the two of us, learning to race, going through the trials and the tribulations of what it means, to race, and to share that with as many like-minded people as we can. But the real impact here is that at the end of the day, we'll be proven on the track, and we'll prove that to ourselves and to our teammates, and hopefully it'll be a successful enterprise.
Alan, what's the biggest, I guess, lesson or even shock, perhaps, you might have had moving from the climate controlled office in Abu Dhabi to the pit lane? What has racing been teaching you about risk that maybe, I suppose, a spreadsheet can't?
Literally looking through corners and looking around corners. That's the biggest analogy for me.
Right.
And the second thing is always stay in motion. You can be going slow, braking, you can be accelerating, but always be in motion. And how making decisions under pressure is the same on a racetrack as it is at a business. I think the other thing that's kind of interesting for me is as we've been getting started, all the men and women who are of our age group. John's the baby of the group here, still in his late 40s, and I'm the old man. But there's a lot of people in that sweet spot looking to challenge themselves while staying fully engaged in their careers. And I think the racetrack is also making me much sharper in my analysis of what I'm doing in the workplace every day.
John, there's a tagline that I've read, every lap has meaning. How does that philosophy differ from the kind of growth at all costs mentality that, so many corporate careers live by?
So, Tim, the tag "every lap has meaning" is something that Alan and I coined when we first had the idea of Dutch Brothers Racing during the conflict. And ultimately, it translates to every day has a purpose, and every aspect to our lives has a purpose. Everything we do has a purpose. And so what we decided was to try to build this platform around every lap has meaning. That's every decision we take in the business. That's everything that we do that's either right or wrong on our journey towards the business. And we believe that that's the same that you have in terms of a corporate philosophy or corporate mindset, which is every time you do something or take a decision as a business leader, there is an outcome. There is an aspect to purpose that you should be thinking about. So it was an interaction between the starting point of how we formed Dutch Brothers Racing, our professional experience, and then actually the fun part, which is it's going to be a real journey, right? And every lap has meaning.
Alan, you've obviously spent years in boardrooms. What lessons from your career have given you an edge or an advantage in your new business?
Don't crack under pressure.
Right.
Absolutely. Don't crack under pressure. Make decisions under pressure and overcome mistakes quickly. Look, on the racetrack, what's very interesting for me is you make a small mistake, you brake late, and then you're trying to correct it and you lose your entire time for a lap. Instead of braking late, realizing that, easing off the brake, and then consistently accelerating into the next turn or into the apex or out of the apex. And the same thing applies in business, that if you make one mistake, don't let it rattle you, because if you do, you're going to make another and another and another, and they pile up. And that is amplified times 10 on the racetrack.
John, you've made some headlines recently for a relatively unique recruitment philosophy. You've kind of moved towards veteran talent, Jos Verstappen, Max's dad, over younger superstars. What is it about that kind of seasoned edge over, the raw sort of youthful talent that you could have gone for?
So, Tim, I'm pleased you've picked up on this. Firstly, the Max Verstappen recruitment was a starting point to a bit of humor in Dutch Brothers Racing, something that Alan and I hold close to our hearts. As you would have seen, the Dutchness was the only basis for his recruitment. And following a lack of following or commitment from him, we've decided to move on to his dad, the veteran, with a hope that we attract him more easily, Tim.
Look, there's also an age and experience, maturity level to this, right? We don't want these young punks messing up our timing.
I'm so with you guys. I'm between you two in terms of age. I've had enough of the youngsters getting in on the act. Alan, how different is it leading a racing team compared with leading a global company? Because I guess there are some unique challenges you face.
Look, I think what's interesting now is we're in startup mode, and in the racing team, it's an equal emphasis on the business because we need funding. This is a very capital intensive endeavor, and we also have to build our skills as racers. What's a little bit different in business is given, kind of our years of experience, we've got, I think, the core, let's call it boardroom experience. Um, and we kind of are used to finance. On the racing side of the house, we don't have the core competencies in the business that we're trying to run. So it's a night and day difference in terms of approach. So I have to look at Dutch Brothers every day as a startup, both in terms of what we're trying to achieve on the racetrack and what we're trying to achieve to get the funding to keep going. Much different.
Tim, can I add something in there as well?
Sure.
One of the things that Alan and I have seen many times in our careers is people that have been successful in one aspect of their professional lives, translating or transferring those skills and expecting themselves to be equally successful in other endeavors. And in our experience, there are certain skill sets that transfer equally between businesses, but actually the real skill is in identifying what you don't have inside the business. And so one of the things that we found or have been extremely focused on when starting Dutch Brothers is we've both got different experiences and different skill sets. We know very little / nothing about racing, which is why we've tried to find professional racing drivers and people that have gone through this journey before. And actually the thing that Alan and I find and prioritize most is listening to those people. That's a difference.
Do you know something that stood out to me, Alan? Is the Dutchness, right, of the team? But I'm interested. What does that actually mean? What is that sort of competitive DNA, and how do you instill that, whatever that is, into an Abu Dhabi-based platform?
Well, first, I'd be lying if I said we put a lot of thought into the name. We landed on the name because John's last name is Dutch. My last name is Dutch, and I'm like, so we're Dutch brothers. That's where we landed on. And now we've kind of gotten into our Dutch DNA. We're thinking about trying to partner with Ancestry.com to check the backgrounds of all of our employees and future drivers. And we also think that there's a certain amount of hard edge to the Dutch that belies a sense of humor. And we're leading with humor, and our hard edge we're bearing a little bit. But we're exceedingly Dutch. We're gonna serve Gouda in the pit lane, and pancakes.
Really? So there's a cheese aspect to this as well.
There's a fine aged cheese, yes.
Alan's cheesy humor, Tim.
Well, that's working on me. I'll give you that for nothing. But anything to do with cheese is a winner, I think. John, so you don't just race. You translate these lessons, right, into leadership experiences for other businesses. That's part of this. So when say a CEO Correct. Comes to you guys, Dutch Brothers Racing, for a leadership block, however it works, what are they really learning? What does endurance racing teach about leadership, or maybe, I don't know, decision making, or I suppose it's obvious, but managing pressure must be in there too?
So endurance racing, and why did we choose endurance racing? Endurance racing is a sum of the parts. And as Alan said, it's about consistency, it's about discipline, it's about recognizing that, if you have a low day or a bad outcome, that's not the end of it. And actually that the real prize comes much further down the line. So for us, the translation from leadership into endurance is keep your eye on the prize, which is probably much further down the road, proverbially speaking, than you think it is. Accept that there are going to be highs and lows on the journey, and then actually making sure you are as clear on what the decisions look like today and tomorrow, and how you're going to make sure you match those decisions with where your outcome needs to be. That's what the leadership and the endurance racing have in common. Okay,
Alan, in the boardroom, a bad decision there may be a very real trackable cost, right? In the car, it's very similar, maybe more. How do you coach executives to make better decisions under that very specific kind of pressure?
Look, I think our broad approach is understand all the information and data you have at your fingertips and use it to input and feed into real-time decision making. That's the most important thing. And then we amplify that through taking these folks out on the track so they can use it through driving. But the most important thing that I think we're bringing to this is use all the data that's in front of you, all the input you have, sift through what's important and not important, and make your decisions in real time.
So, John, I suppose in this, as there is in corporate takeovers or investment strategies, whatever it is, and in a race environment, there's reckless risk versus calculated risk. How do you outline for the executives that join you to be able to distinguish between those two?
So the key to this, Tim, is for us to have a plan. And one of the things we made absolutely sure of when we started was the idea was born, we're going to have Dutch Brothers Racing. What do we want to achieve? We want to achieve a participation in an endurance race. What does the journey to that look like? And mapping out the key milestones to what that looks like in terms of where's your training come from? What's the discipline around that? Where's your qualification come from? Where's the discipline around that? Each of these are milestones that are part of a plan. So within that, you can see where the costs sit. You can see where the flexibility around those costs is, just like you would do in an ordinary business plan. I think that mitigates the recklessness aspect. There will always be bumps along the way, but it's again ensuring that you are in line with the plan, you're consistent, and you know where you're going. That makes this the difference between a reckless behavior or reckless activity and something that's more calculated.
Alan, how's it going in terms of sponsors and partners? Because, I mean, this is a pretty competitive environment. Have you got a fine-aged Dutch cheese signed on the dotted line yet?
We're in active talks with two. So we're hoping to make an announcement here before too much longer. I'd say in August, we should be able to make our first announcement and hopefully have a nice logo on our helmet. As well, I host a little segment every Tuesday on our socials, on Dutch Brothers Racing on Instagram, called Sponsor Us Tuesdays, where I make direct pitch to sponsors. So we've got 4 or 5 of those out. Nobody's reached back out so far, though. Those are more of our cold pitches. We've got one coming up next week as well, or tomorrow. We've got one coming tomorrow.
John, can I zero in on the business lessons just a little bit? We've got a few minutes left. What mistakes do experienced executives still make if they're starting a new business? Because obviously this is a process you're going through yourself at the moment.
So there's 2 things there, Tim. Again, I think the one is, as I said, it's thinking that everything that you've learned in business translates or transfers to a new business. That's critically a mistake. And on this one specifically, we're learning this is much more about content and media than it is about motorsport. The racing aspect is almost the easy part. Finding the right media platforms, finding the right content, finding the right way to ensure you're able to commercialize something that is relatively ordinary is very difficult. And actually listening to experts, as I said before, in terms of looking at the testing, looking at the tires, looking at the preparation that goes with all of the kind of being ready for the track. That's something that I think we hadn't thought about before. So from an executive's perspective, the key here is the preparation. It's back to that aspect of the plan, right? Try to reduce as many variables as you can in the preparation so that when the inevitable things go wrong on the track or as part of the plan, that you are as prepared as you possibly can be.
Alan, is there a growing trend of senior leaders, I use that term advisedly, but maybe people looking at leaving corporate careers to build businesses with a greater, and you mentioned this earlier, a greater sense of maybe personal purpose?
I think maybe in the U.S. I think in the Gulf, I haven't seen it. I think the people I know in the Gulf are very focused on their current careers, but they're also looking for something and challenges outside of the office. But in the U.S., you see people, in particular those who don't have to worry about their retirements, which unfortunately isn't me, that are looking to do things with their the capital they've accumulated, and whether that's with a personal purpose or some kind of greater purpose, put that to work.
John, what advice would you give somebody in their 40s or 50s who thinks maybe they've left entrepreneurship a little bit late?
I'd say get going. Honestly, the thing that we've both learned from this is get yourself out there, give it a go, and see what happens. I really have enjoyed the experience with Alan and with Andy so far. It's been challenging in many respects, looking at how we present the idea, how we bring followers on the journey. These are all mistakes that you can make in public, and actually from an entrepreneurship perspective, that's allowed us to be even more focused, as Alan said previously, in our day jobs. It's bringing different skill sets and different perspectives to the way we think about how we engage with our day jobs. And so I'd say get on with it. It's never too late.
It's never
Every
too
lap
late.
has meaning to it.
It's never too late.
Alan, I was going to ask you a similar question, but I mean, one of the things with this is that, high performance isn't necessarily tied to age. So looking ahead, what's the ultimate ambition for Dutch Brothers Racing? Because it's a sports team, it's a media house, it's a consultancy perhaps for the future of work. Is it all of those things?
Look, I think ultimately be credible on the racetrack and translate the lessons that we're learning into things that other people can apply. That's really what it's about. And have fun along the way, and hopefully have a media platform that people find entertaining. But look, for me, be credible on the racetrack, right, and translate that into lessons we can share with others in our situation.
And be sustainable.
Okay, there's a sustainable edge to it. It's got to be a
business. Yeah.
Okay. A couple of questions. I'm not sure who wants to take this. Anybody jump in. For an executive maybe listening today, maybe watching today, who might feel like they've hit something of a ceiling, they want to do something bold, maybe they're afraid of leaving the corporate entity behind, even their corporate identity behind. What would your advice be?
For me, number one, make sure your family's on board, because you're going to need all of that support. Number two, understand your capital situation so you don't blow all of your retirement. And number three, believe in yourself. Have the belief to make the leap. But I think those other two are important precursors.
Sure. So in that case, John, I'll offer you the final question. Where would you like to see Dutch Brothers Racing in the next 5 years? And what would success of this venture feel like, I suppose, for you?
So, one, that it's a sustainable business, Tim, so that it's that it's still going, that we've grown the platform, we've got a follower base that is aligned with what Alan and I have been trying to do, which is to explain the story of how two executives can take what looks like a hobby and professionalize it and make it something that's sustainable from a personal perspective and a professional perspective. So there's a few dimensions to that. Three, that we've actually got a bit more racing under our belts, and we've got some more challenges and some more successes and probably some more failures under our belts that we can learn from, and that we're still having fun, right? It really is as simple as that. That's where we started, and that's where we'll be hopefully in 5 years' time.
I have to wish you both all the best. I always feel like you can trust a guy that enjoys cheese. And I don't know, it's an adage that I live my life by. Alan van der Molen and John de Jager are the co-founders of Dutch Brothers Racing. Really appreciate you joining us. Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, Tim. Come to the track. Come to the track and see us.
Appreciate it. Stay up to date with all our interviews and content via mirabusiness.fm.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
This is the morning drive. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be driving to Sheikh Zayed Road for a front row seat for the future of mobility. We're broadcasting from Al-Futtaim Volvo's new flagship showroom on Sheikh Zayed Road. It's the largest Volvo showroom in the UAE. So exclusive conversations, and you can catch the full episodes on Morning Drive and Luxury Breaks, our automotive podcast, and across podcast, YouTube, and our Mira Business FM platforms. Right now, the business opportunity in camel milk, which is moving from the niche to the mainstream, with demand growing across international markets as consumers look for a new, I guess, health-focused and sustainable food choice and choices. Joining us is Mudassir Yassin, known as Birmingham's Camel Shake. He's the founder of the marvellously named Hump Group, established in Birmingham in the UK 2015. His journey began in Dubai, and he's helping to put the camel milk, or spread the camel milk word, put camel milk on the maps. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's interesting, this. We've talked about camel milk on the programme a few times. And I get the feeling it's not like a niche product now. What's driving the appeal, Mudassir?
Well, I would say the main appeal for people wanting to go more into camel milk or learn more about it is the appeal that it has when it comes to being a natural alternative to dairy. Given the rise of health conditions, people having intolerance to cow milk that's been naturally drunk for many years in society on a mainstream level. People also looking for something that's more ethical. Camel dairy is ethical because you cannot separate the baby from the mother when it comes to milking a camel. Otherwise, it doesn't give milk. And thirdly, as well, camels are very important for the ecosystem and the sustainability angle too, and being part of all the biodiversity side of things.
It's helped you a lot, I know, in your life from a medical perspective as well. I mean, you were not trying to, put forward that it's a cure-all for everything, but it has helped you, hasn't it?
It has. So my journey started many, many years ago here in Dubai in 2004. I was going through quite a rough spell of bad health back in the day. I have a condition called ulcerative colitis, which is a form of, inflammatory bowel disease. And I was going through a really horrible spell. At one point where my doctors told me I needed surgery. And I wasn't having it. I wasn't keen to have surgery, being a young chap at university. So I've got my whole life ahead of me. And by chance, at university in the UK, I met the first Emirati gentleman who was actually in my university. We were not on the same course. We were just met randomly, and I just happened to be, I think. And when he saw me, and I was really unwell, as I say, back then, and he started to get to know me, like, where are you from, what are you doing here, what's your background, and why are you unwell? I told him my situation, and he goes, that's it, you're not staying here, you're going to go to the UAE, and you're going to go with me and my family in Al Ain, and they'll look after you. I was like, but Rashid, look, I have no means of financial support, I'm a student, I don't know what I'm going to do there, I don't have any business or work there. He goes, just take my advice and you'll be fine. So fast forward to my journey to the UAE in LA in 2004. I came over here. I've never seen camels before because we don't have them in Birmingham.
No, I was going to say, it's not the centre of the camel universe, is it?
It's not, no. And they took me to their family farm in Al Ain, and I became obviously quite overwhelmed seeing camels for the very first time.
Sure.
And being in that sort of environment. And when they brought me over the freshly milked camel milk from the camels, I saw the milk with my own two eyes. I mean, my first impressions were this frothy, creamy, very, very sophisticated looking kind of milk or liquid had just been, come out of nowhere or from out of heaven, I guess. Because when I touched the bowl, it was still warm.
Sure.
As it is with camel milk when it's freshly milked. I took the first sip, and immediately I felt something that was, undescribable to this day. It gave me a very powerful feeling. I it kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but you kind of went inside my insides, and where I was having the issues of the stomach pain and having all those terrible episodes of that come with a condition like Crohn's or like colitis, they seem to be relieved by just taking the first few sips. But then I was with them for quite a while on the first occasion, and I was drinking Camel milk on a regular basis with them. I went back to the UK, back to uni, and I was coming here back and forth quite frequently. So honestly, without being melodramatic or without overemphasizing things, I owe a lot to the UAE. And I say this to everyone, but not everyone gets it, because I am in debt to the UAE for making me who I am today. Having that connection to the UAE that's made me, inspire my sort of like my vision about bringing camels and the camel culture to the mainstream audience.
Well, I mean, we hear a lot about the benefits, the medical benefits, the wellness benefits of camel milk. And ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, I mean, they're debilitating conditions. They really are. I know they're very difficult to handle. So if it's helped you, you can see that. I mean, camel milk is central to Emirati heritage. There's no doubt about that. And this is something you would like to sort of project, I guess, to a global stage. So then you start the Hump Group. I love that name, I have to tell you.
Thank you.
It's funny, but it does what it says on the tin kind of name.
Size.
Yeah. So it wasn't about nostalgia. There is a gap in the health market, isn't there?
There is a gap, and like you mentioned, there's with us it's been about not just telling you a product. It's been about trying to educate people or tell people about the benefits of the camel milk, but also link it to culture and heritage. And like you mentioned, the UAE and the Emirati culture, they're very fond of their camels, from the top level, the leadership, right down to the average Emirati. And I'd say that a lot of my journey has been inspired by the leadership, because no matter how much the UAE has prospered, continues to prosper globally, they still hold on to their heritage. Camels, the Bedouin culture, they go to the desert, and they still have that simplistic lifestyle, in my opinion. So, my journey has, I say, been inspired by, the Crown Prince of Dubai, Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed, the ruler of Dubai, and also further up to the leadership. And I always look back at, how they've had this vision of making the UAE to what it is today. I mean, all great things start with ideas, right?
It's true.
And I'm not saying that we're anything like the UAE leadership, or we're like, or we share similar, vision, if you like. But we have our journey has transpired from that, as I say, because our idea was small. We never think we'd be advocating for camel milk 11 years on to this day. People knocked us back in the day. We were humiliated in public for promoting camel milk. We were insulted, verbally abused as well, and unfortunately by the general public, because there was not much understanding. And to bring or to build and to bridge those gaps takes a lot of hard work, especially when there's no commercial benefit, i.e. it's not commercially viable from when it was back then.
I guess it just wasn't a thing. I mean, when I grew up, I'm from the UK like you, and it was milk. And then there was no milk when you were a child because Mrs. Thatcher took it away. You remember all those days, of course. But camel milk just wasn't a thing. But I mean, it's changed drastically. I mean, I've seen projections of $50 billion for the camel milk industry by 2036. So how big is the camel milk industry today? And what's changed in the last, I guess it's the last decade or so, isn't it, approximately, to go from, niche to, it's pretty much mainstream?
Yes, so about 10 odd years ago, it wasn't on the shelves anywhere, especially in Europe, or let's go home back to the UK. And when the likes of Camelicious got their, which is a local Emirati brand, as most people know, when Camelicious got their European approval back in, I think, 2014. We were the first ones in Birmingham to promote Camelicious back then, and one of the first globally. And we had it on the shelves in some supermarkets up and down the country. We were selling it to consumers. But even then, people were still very hesitant because it was about the knowledge gap. How do you educate people about camels or camel milk in a non-camel country or non-camel environment? That's not normally, acceptable. And we were giving out lots of camel milk to people to try. Over the days, we were still doing the whole storytelling, trying to build the trust. I.e., the name Hum Group is a trusted name. It's a trusted brand. And many people they testify that it wasn't like for the Hump Group, they would never know about camel milk to this day, because we have promoted it globally, not just in Birmingham, but also throughout the world, right down to Australia.
Right. So, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? So, to get across to people, you've got to engage people, right? Because camel milk's a very alien thing to lots of people.
It is.
Because we simply put, in Birmingham, there are very few. There may be one in the zoo, a camel, but you're not going to see them. So it's almost as though it doesn't exist. So you have to engage people. You've got to tell them the story. You've got to get that story across to people. And, you've got the soft toys, your camels with you here. I know you're a camel fanatic. There's pictures of you on the plane, talking to cabin crew, spreading the word. But you're very much, you believe in the benefits of, telling that story and getting that across. That's
right. So, I mean, I've done this with a passion. And I think when you do something with a passion, you have a genuine purpose and it makes things more sustainable. And having that connection between, i.e. the general public, it's not been easy. So to give you an idea, over the last 10 years, we've done numerous events, i.e. public events in Birmingham, but also throughout the UK. Having stalls at market events and community days and so on. And I think to date we've given approximately over 10,000 people camel milk for free in the last 10 years. Okay. Mind you, we're only a small outfit. We're not like massively huge or not multi-million-dollar business. We're only a small, but we've done that to that level. And then if we multiply the ripple effect, when people talk about us giving them camel milk or them tasting for the very first time, people talk. So that ripple effect over the last 10 years has been huge. And I would say without being too ambitious, it's reached millions over the last 10 years. Through our work.
The thing is, Nasser, it's not a fad, is it? This is a genuine shift because, I mean, if you look at this in pure business terms, compound annual growth rate terms, I've seen figures of 11.7% forecasted through to 2036 with that $50 billion headline figure. Google research for you, but that's not to be laughed at. That is a change in attitudes. That's a business.
It is, and I say a bulk of the work has been down to educating people, and like you mentioned, it's not a fad because Bedouins have run camel milk for thousands of years. It's been part of their culture. It's been a staple diet of the Bedouin culture for so many years. Mind you, they had dates, camel milk, and coffee in the desert. That's all they were literally, drinking or eating. And we've tried to bring that back to life. We started off with dates, 2015, Palestinian dates. We started off with coffee as well, and the camel milk side by side. So our sort of like emphasis or our brand image has been about education, cultural diplomacy, and trying to reignite the Bedouin traditions that people have unfortunately forgotten about. So it's not been a machine or an idea just to focus on making money, because with the new things it takes time, and you have to build the foundations. And we've done that, and it's been a lot of legwork and a lot of sacrifice that we've had to make and commitment today.
So people have caught on, certainly in Birmingham, in the UK, more and more people are catching on, because this is, I mean, there's a lot of talk about camel milk is the closest thing to human milk. That's it's great for lactose intolerance if you're managing diabetes. Obviously, perhaps it has benefits if you suffer from colitis, those kinds of things. So you have to communicate those benefits, but you can't overpromise to consumers. I know you don't sell this as a cure. Yes. I'm not saying that. but you would point out the benefits and the experience of thousands of years of Bedouin culture.
You're right. I mean, we've never oversold it, if you like. It's been a personal story, i.e., from myself, as a founder of the company, and my personal journey that has related to so many people across the globe. Right. And even we've also had support from the likes of Dr. Christina Adams, who is a researcher on camel milk and its health benefits for autistic children. That's been very helpful too. And a lot of our community that we support in the UK has been, parents with autistic kids that drink the camel milk regularly for the kids, and it helps. We've never said it's a cure. We've never marketed or missold it as a cure. It's natural dairy supplement. Yeah. You can have it in your cornflakes in the morning. You can have it in your tea. But it's not a medicinal cure. It's just something that's a natural source, i.e. from a camel, without anything added to it.
For average consumers, right, who had never tasted it, there's always this fear that it's a little bit different, it's a little bit salty. There's kind of a tang to camel milk compared to, bog standard dairy. So how do you navigate that? Because you know what it's like. It's like, oh no, I won't like. You know what people are like when they're like, oh, I won't like that. Have you tried it? No, I've never tried it. So how do you know you don't like it? How have you done that? Because you've done lots of obviously testing. That's
right. So you actually hit the nail on the head. People have these misconceptions about the taste of camel milk because they've never tried it before. Yeah. And some of them, they give you like a funny face. It doesn't taste like. They give you all these kind of funny faces and so on. And we've, as I say, we've given people free camel milk to test and to try over the years, and that's how they've managed to somehow, I'd say, become converted to accepting that camel milk doesn't taste as bad as it might have been perceived to taste. Right. And also, don't forget as well, there's a lot to do with the diet, i.e., what you feed the camels, the environment. And all these other factors that do affect the taste of milk, and also how it's, if you like, been processed or filtered properly, which do have an impact on the final taste of the camel milk.
Yeah, it certainly has an impact. What about misconceptions that people have about camel milk? What bothers people? What do people say to you that you think, oh, here we go again?
Well, 11 years ago, 2015, a lot of people first said to me, I was wasting my time. It's a fad, you're not going to get anywhere. I was being given these words of advice from very successful people in the community. And, I said, okay, thank you for your advice. I'll take your words and I'll do what I need to do, essentially. Not in those words, but, and then a lot of people were still knocking me down, and they were discouraging me from continuing with my journey with the camel milk and with the expansion and the growth of Hump Group. And as I say, my sole purpose has been to put camel milk on the map, on the global map, from an educational perspective. Do that storytelling, make these engagements with public or even with cabin crew on the aeroplane. There's a funny story behind this. People might see, why have I got these camels? Why, as a mature adult like me, got camels with him?
I did wonder when you walked in, but each to their own.
And we've travelled all over the world with the camels, and when people see me with camels on an aeroplane with my bag, they become a bit curious, so they give me some weird looks. But then,
I bet they're like, we're sat next to the nutter.
But then they come and talk to me, and it's like they say, "Excuse me, sir, why do you have camels? They're really cute." I tell them the journey in a nutshell, in a 30-second nutshell. I give them the elevator pitch, and then they warm up to me, and they become very curious and more interested in knowing more about the journey. And they learn more about camels. We never knew that. They never knew that camel milk was the closest to mother's milk. Yeah. Never knew camel milk had this, that, and the other. So it's like education, but in more not in a formal setting, in an informal way. And that's what we've had to do. We had to be innovative in our ideas. We're not selling you the milk. We are selling you the story, or we are promoting the story and the whole journey of the having an authentic story like myself as a founder of the company, someone that's been there, done this sort of thing, has gone.
And it's done you some good as well. So I mean, that's very effective marketing, I would think. Tell me a little bit, we're running out of time, unfortunately. Just where is the growth coming from? Where are you seeing real signs?
Well, the growth is happening in Europe and also, Europe and the UK, but there's also very high levels of growth across the Middle East. So you've got likes of Camelicious that are going full out now with their camel milk products and their supply. You've got Al Ain Dairy, which is also looking to expand, I believe, into new markets. You've got the Far East rise as well taking place over in Asia. So there's not many camel dairies around the world, although there's also some in Australia too. But then there's an issue of regulation, how do you import it into certain countries? It's not as black and white as it might seem. So there's a huge red tape and a lot of regulatory complexes involved when you import it from certain countries. But the market is growing quite rapidly, and as you mentioned, the figures are quite alarming in a way.
Well, they are. I mean, it's very encouraging, I've got to say. Final quick question for you. The Hump Group, your whole thing is, your ethos, I suppose, is camel milk for the masses or something. That's probably not a great slogan. Maybe we'll leave that. Where do you see the camel milk industry and the Hump Group in the next few, say 3-5 years?
Well, I'd say we'll be looking at continuing to be a global active ambassador for camels and camel milk globally, as we were also the UK ambassador for the UN a couple of years ago for the Year of the Camelids 2024. Okay. So we'll still be advocating that on a very, I'd say, high level, so on top level, basis. We'd like to also grow internationally and have the camel milk available on retail or retail space. And also we'll be looking at possibly having some new innovative launches coming up very soon. But I think there's no stopping for the camel milk journey, if you like, for a lot of people, like the consumers who are now becoming more health conscious, looking for something that's better, that's more ethical, that's something that's more natural. And a lot of the work also has been done from the UAE. As the UAE it's a great country. I love the UAE. It's a fantastic country to be in. A lot of the work has been done by a gentleman called Professor Abdul Razik, who is also the founder of World Camel Day. He's based in Al Ain. Okay. So a lot of his advocacy work has reached as well a lot of people all over the world. And like the UAE, Dubai is a brand. Dubai is a brand, as we all know. So my journey started in Dubai in 2014, 2004.
2004, well, in Abu Dhabi, I mean, in LA.
LA, yeah, that's right. And it's gone to the world, like Dubai has reached all corners of the world. And these things take time, as you know, don't happen overnight. And I think the future is very promising for camels and people that like to, look into these natural alternatives. Whereas it was niche, but now it's becoming more and more widely available.
So it's done you well. Mudassir Yassin is helping put camel milk on the map, I guess. He's the founder of the Hump Group, joins us this morning. It's been good to talk to you.
Thank you. Likewise, thank you for your time.
Good to have you here. If you enjoy listening on the go, you can find Mira Business FM on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
This is the morning drive at Mira Business FM. Could a dying phone be hurting restaurant revenues? More new data from the Dubai-based power bank sharing platform Ray suggests low battery levels are cutting into valuable evening dining time, just as restaurants make their biggest sales. So there's a question I didn't think I'd ask this morning. Joining us are Ray co-founders Igor Koselap and Roman Avrianov, is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, it's correct.
Thank you. I'm trying to get there. We'll talk about what the data says about changing consumer behavior, the business opportunity behind charging infrastructure, which is what you guys do, and why Dubai could perhaps become the next launch pad for hospitality technology. Who knows? So, welcome, guys. We've all been there. You're at a restaurant, you're having a great time, your phone hits 5%, and suddenly you're not really looking at the menu, you're looking for a socket, you need to charge. It hurts us all. So, Igor, let's start with you. You argue that a dying phone is costing restaurants money. How is it costing them money?
Yes, of course. What will you do if you have only 2%? And you don't have a socket or something like this? So you go home. So you go home earlier and you don't take your dessert, or mainly in bars, you don't take your one more beer when you're watching or sitting with your friends. And you don't, you are not calm. So you are very worried about your phone, because sometimes phone is not about the calling for people. Phone is for navigate, for pay,
Sure,
and sometimes you even could not pay because some of places pay by link in web. So you scan QR code and pay online. And if you could not do this, is the question. So, right now, most people, they're not afraid to be without phones. They are waiting from the restaurants to give them a power bank or something like this.
Yeah.
So because it's like a common service from restaurants to charge your phone. And so sometimes when we come to restaurant, it depends that we not help only people, but we also help restaurant to solve the problem of the customers. So it sounds like B2B2C solution.
Yeah, okay. So phone charging isn't really just about customer convenience, but it's about revenue protection in lots of ways, right? So, Roman, you've done the research. 90% of people feel stressed when their battery hits 20%. Am I right? That's a research figure that I read. So how does stress lead to a lost sale? You don't bother with dessert, or you don't get the extra coffee or whatever at a table. How does that work?
Actually, it's work, like in United Arab Emirates, exactly.
Yeah.
Dinner time, it shift to the midnight, more shift of the midnight.
It's much later, yeah.
Yeah. It's, we have several reasons about it. So it's summertime, so heat is very increased.
Mm-hmm.
So it's people shift to this time to the midnight. And second one is some culture, smoke shishas, spend a lot of time to socializing, talking each other, and usually local people spend around 4 hours for this. So that means you can work all the day, and when you come to the dinner, your phone probably is dead or near the 2% exactly.
For sure.
So that means the restaurant in this time have a peak of the revenue because a lot of people move to the dinner. So that means if people have a stress about the dead phones, they don't think about the, add more or spend more time to talking to, next round of the cocktail, something like this. So they spend, restaurant, they lose average check because people leave of this place. This is the reason. And we suggested that our service, they help it to solve this problem.
Okay, so what about charging speed though? Because I've used chargers in coffee shops, and you put it on the table, and it's the wireless charger thing, and they're just painful. They're just not even worth it. I mean, they're not. They're awful. So you've you offer a much faster speed.
Yeah, of course. Actually, we have several features to enter of the market, because in the market have competitors already.
Yeah, sure. There's loads.
So the fast charging is the main of the features for this.
Okay. So Igor, how does it work? How does your system work? Is it just like a little, I don't know, a little device? Is it a pad? Do you just?
Here is our.
Oh, I thought that was your
charger.
phone
Yeah.
case. Okay, so
Yeah, it's a case, and it's a station in a restaurant or other place. We start from restaurant, but a lot of places like gyms or hospitals,
Right.
which is when we also install. And you go to the machine, you push the button on the screen that you want to take a power bank, then you tap by Apple Pay, Google Pay, or card, and you get it. So it takes something like 15 seconds to get a power bank.
okay, so tap your phone and you get a little device which is about the size of a phone, a little bit smaller, and it's got 3 cables in there. Is it also wireless? This thing?
No,
Or is it
no,
it's
no.
all, so it's all cables, so you're getting
cables.
full speed. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got.
And you ask about speed. So fast charge is something like if you get 20% of your charge on your phone, in half an hour it will be 18.
Okay.
80. So half an hour is quite enough to charge and go home, because you don't need to charge full. If you are at evening, you need to prolong your phone to.
Sure. So you get rid of that kind of anxiety of you need to navigate your way home, or you. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
with you.
Just stop stress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So half an hour is quite enough to charge your phone with fast charge.
So I guess restaurants and cafes are your main business, right? Hospitality is leading. Is that the main driver?
Actually, for this service, we have, different stage of the development.
Right.
So firstly, we start from the restaurants and cafes. Why? Because it's very simple to enter of this market, and we exactly understand that people spend time of this location.
Sure.
After that, we need make the coverage of the city. In this stage, people they make a habit to use this service every time. So we increase it, utilization of our station, and the people stop afraid about the dead phones. They understand that they can take power bank everywhere and they can return it everywhere. So it's like a different stage. So we start from the restaurant cafe. Second one, we move to the hospital, transportation hubs, and something additional location. And third, we add location to return. So it's also necessary to the service. Not exactly for taking power bank. You need very simple location to return.
Yeah, for sure. So if I took a power bank from, I don't know, a coffee shop that I go to, can I return it somewhere else?
Yep.
So it's a little bit like the scooters. You can take one and then drop it off, or the bikes in different locations.
Yeah.
Okay. See, if this was Europe, if this was London, they would all be stolen. So I guess it's less of an issue here in Dubai, I suppose, in the UAE. Nothing against London, but that's the case. What kinds of differences do you see between Igor, restaurants or cafes or maybe shisha lounges, or I guess this would work well in a gym as well?
Yep.
What are the differences in the way people use or the uptake?
So difference
Of the device.
in time and how often people charge. So in gym we see at morning, for example. In cafe, no charge at morning. Right. But in the gyms, for me, it's very strange, but some people take it at 8 a.m. So maybe they forgot to charge at home. Maybe
They haven't done it overnight, I guess. Yeah, okay.
I don't know how it happened. And when we start in UAE, everybody says that people are driving cars. Nobody will use your technology because they charge phone on cars. But no, people forget to charge. And some of charge in the cars are very awful. So people use it even in the morning. So some places like shishas or gaming clubs are working at midnight. People in gaming clubs, they're sitting till 4 a.m., for example, and we see some charge at night.
It's interesting, actually, but I suppose here particularly, a phone is everything to most people in the UAE. We use it so much, so forgetting to charge it because you're so involved with your phone, I can understand that. you know what I mean? For a lot of people, it's constant.
You know, also some people say that your technology nobody need your technology because we all have our own power banks and so on. But some people always forget to charge their power bank and their phone and so on. Sometimes you forget about it. And our technology is not for everyday usage. So our technology is that you forget once a month.
For sure, yeah, it's a convenience.
And we help
you,
and you survive. You are online, and it's help you. And once a month, it's okay for our business. It's okay for you. You're happy. The place is happy. Everybody is good. So
that makes sense. I mean, there's an expression, UK expression. There's never a policeman when you need one. And it's kind of like that with power banks, isn't it? You never quite know when you're going to need something like this, I suppose.
Sorry, Tim, and you also mentioned about the stolen power banks in London. And when we come to this market, we decide not to make any deposit because we know that the crime is very low here.
Sure.
And we try to make it without deposit. And, you know, for all the time, we start in November last year, we lost something like 10 or maybe 15 power banks. So people are very good here. They are nobody steal, and even that we lost, I think it's not stolen, but we have some calls from guys that sorry, I was on the concert and then I go to my country and I forget to give it back. What should I do? So some people, most of them don't steal; they forget. So
I can understand
and
that.
When you connect it and you go late night to home, you forget this.
Okay.
It's okay.
So how does it work? When you take a charger out, it's full, but when you put the charger back in, you deliver it back. You just have to plug it in when you put it back into the machine, the unit, whatever it is.
Yeah, you only plug in.
You just plug it in and you're off.
Sorry, I don't know how to say in English.
No, that was good. That worked. I got you there. So we use our phones for everything here, right? We use phones for, I don't know, to navigate, to pay for stuff. We're on them constantly. People are doing social media. We're taking photos, videos, everything. We rely on them. There are lots of other power bank rentals available. What's the difference with you guys? Roman, why did you think this is something we could, a market that we could tap?
You know, like Igor told before, now smartphone is not for calling.
No.
Yeah, smartphone is some the private equipment that you not keep it somewhere. So if we talk about the customer journey inside of the restaurant in the venues, it's not only paid for the bill, right? It's reading the menu, it's order taxi, it's post photo your food, for example, and discuss about how it looks like, how it's tasty, and something like this. So everything is a journey inside of the restaurant. So if your phones not work, it's that battery, for example, you lost some of the part of this journey. So that means you not satisfy your spend time of the restaurant. So restaurant need focus all of this part when you come to the restaurant and when you leave this restaurant. So charging your gadget, it's part of this journey. It's not secondary service. Now it's the service like pay for the bill, like connection to Wi-Fi inside. That's why I think so. Venues need to think about it's like mandatory service inside.
That's an interesting point. Actually, I hadn't thought of it that way. Power banks are now a market in themselves, right? And there are lots of different ways of doing it. How does the UAE compare with the more mature power bank sharing markets? I mean, obviously in Asia. The Asian power bank sharing market. I can't believe I'm saying these words. It's a huge thing.
Yep.
How does it compare here, Igor?
About competitors,
In terms of the market, yeah.
Yeah, so really, as Roman said, the main competitors are socket on the walls right now in UAE.
Yeah, for sure.
Because right now in UAE it's something like 2 or maybe 3,000 of power bank stations, and it's something like 6 million stations in China. So density is so low right now, so its market is not full. It's the first thing. The second thing, you're right, there are some competitors on the market and something like 6, 7, maybe 8. Most of them are not big. So there are something like 500 stations, maybe as 8, not more. So they quite not big. But we are the only one who have tap-to-pay technology when you don't need to download application and register and you get a power bank in 15 seconds. What does it mean? That the common usage is that you download application, register, add your card, and then you take a power bank. But when you have 2% of your phone, you are quite nervous about this and you hate this. And most of people right now, also Generation Z, they don't love to download anything. So is so much applications, they don't want to download anymore.
You need to be a certain size, don't you, to be trusted?
Yep.
I guess.
So we make it without any friction. So you only tap the screen, tap your card or Apple Pay, Google Pay, and that's all.
Okay.
So we are the only one on this market who could do this. Also, one more thing, it's about the fast charge. And the third one, we know we not making a power bank stations. We are making a city infrastructure. So we understand from different countries, we analyze a lot of countries and cities, and we see that cities where it works very good, it's a good density. So people should know that they take power bank from one place, they return in another place, and when it happened, when people understand it, it 2-3 times more rents per station than in the common stations.
Okay, but that makes sense. I mean, you could, I don't know, borrow one in a coffee shop or a bar, go to the restaurant, but take the charger with you if you can, take it back and, replace it, put it back where you should put it. And in Dubai, we've got this huge density of F&B venues as well.
Yeah. And in China, you could see power bank stations near the houses. So it's a big building, and you have a power bank station here. You used to ask why. You come from home and you don't need power bank. Yeah. And the situation is other, that you take it from the restaurant or some gym or something like this, and you're not worried about that you don't know where to give it back. Yeah. So they return it near the house, and for us it was strange when we see it first time, but now we understand. In China, you could see also them as the lighters, or how to name. You go over the street and you see.
What, the street lights?
Yep. And you see there are some power bank stations there. But
China's
we think it's crazy. It's crazy. We don't like this because in Dubai and UAE, it's quite a lot F&B restaurants. And as I remember, it's the second city of the world about the density of the restaurants after the Paris. So it's a lot of places to install stations. And we are only talking about F&B. As we talked before, it's not only F&B. Also, these places we could install.
In malls or wherever.
Yeah. Okay. It's a longer time to do this.
It makes sense. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I wanted to ask you, what does it cost, Roman? What does it cost to charge? If I want to charge my phone, I want one of your chargers. What does it cost me?
Actually, it's 1 hour. It's 10 dirhams.
Okay.
So it's cost of the espresso in the restaurant.
It's half of an espresso in most places.
Yeah, it's very cheap actually. And after that, we shift the tariff to the daily. So you can choose hour or daily. You just move it to the daily tariffs if you use more than 1 hour. So daily tariffs cost about 30 dirhams. So totally 24 hours, it's cost 40 dirhams.
Okay. And you can take that charger with you and put it back wherever you see one of your banks, I suppose. Final question, Igor, I'm over time, but I wanted to ask you this. You've just raised just over $1 million in funding, am I right?
Yep.
So you're scaling fast. Globally, where are you looking to expand to? Is it Dubai? Is Dubai now? Obviously.
Not Dubai, UAE. Because we are also in Abu Dhabi, in Sharjah. And we plan to also countries. It's a small secret right now.
Okay, so you're not going to tell me.
Still small.
Okay, so we'll get you back and we'll hold you down or something. Igor Koslap and Roman Avrianov.
Perfect.
I did it. Co-founders of Ray, the Dubai-based power bank sharing startup. It was good to talk to you both. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tim.
Appreciate you coming
Thank
in.
you. Thank you.
A reminder, this full interview is going to be posted to our Mira Business FM LinkedIn page.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
This is the morning drive at Mira Business FM. Now, everyone has AI. So why are so many businesses still getting AI wrong? What is the fear behind AI? Why is adoption kind of a little bit stop-start in some ways, in corporate terms at least? It's everywhere. So from customer service to marketing and operations, businesses are kind of in a rush to adopt AI, but having AI isn't the same as using it well. So this morning, we're going to look at why some companies are seeing real growth, why others are maybe wasting time, maybe wasting some money, maybe wasting opportunity as well. Joining us, Anas Abdul-Latif is the founder of Hash Include, which is a tech company helping businesses build and scale with AI-driven solutions. Anas, good to see you.
Well, thank you, Tim. Pleasure here.
Good to have you in the studio. Let me ask you this to start with. Is AI something that every business should be using today?
The definite answer is yes.
Yes.
The more than saying yes, the idea is to understand why is it an yes. Because we all are familiar with softwares. We all use some kind of software. If you're a creative person, you use Photoshop. If you're a business guy, you will use PowerPoint, Excel, Word, different softwares, editing softwares, whatever it is, right? So what AI, I'm just saying from a layman perspective, what AI you can consider, it's like an additional software which will actually understand your intent and make the software do the work for you. So now if you are a creative person designing a flyer in Photoshop, the instruction that goes to the creative person is, okay, I have a podcast for Mira FM, just do this flyer for me. Now that same conversation, you can have it with an AI model, which is the software, or which you can say ChatGPT or Claude, just for the context of it. And it will go and talk to the software and get it done. So basically, you are having very smart, intelligent softwares which can understand what you want to do and make other softwares do the work for you.
Okay. I mean, the distinction is, and I think that we've talked about AI more than probably any other topic in the last year. I think it's kind of it's the golden egg, isn't it? But it's you have to remember, I think, to utilize AI, i.e., you are the boss, you are using it.
Yes.
It's not using you, and there's kind of a disconnect.
It is actually, I think some of them are a bit afraid about AI, what it does and how it works and everything. Some are like all into it. Both are valid. You have to jump into it. You have to be skeptical as well about it. But rather than, if we try to stay away from this social media hype about AI and everything, right? And most of what we're talking about is something called generative AI. There's different layers of AI, but we are talking about AI being able to generate content for you or do things on your behalf. In that context, you can think it in a very simple way, like you have a software which is as smart as your smartest employee or a smartest colleague in the team. And it is not going to judge you. It is not going to tell you you're right or wrong. It will just help you do your work better. In that context, if you have something like that, which is going to help you with anything and everything what you're doing, jumping into is definitely something what we all should do. There is no need to fear AI. Because it gives a lot of added. It makes you like a cyborg. It makes you half human, half machine. Actually, so
you're not going to turn into a Terminator, right? No, I get you. Why are some businesses seeing results with AI while others aren't? But I think a lot of companies. There's an understanding that Claude is available, or whichever AI device system is available, but it's not working for everybody.
That is primarily because of the use cases you pick within the organization, right? When you're doing an AI implementation or an AI transformation in your company, just to take it one layer, behind, this is basically digital transformation. You are converting your business into 100% digital. Digitally, you're converting your business. So what happens with AI is the speed at which you can convert your business and the result what you can generate in your business is huge and humongous, right? This is what is fundamentally happening right now. So why certain businesses fail is the use case you pick within your organization to implement AI, that might not be the right one. For example, there are certain things you are doing in your organization. If you need heavy data, to have an AI model to do a prediction from that, or to make an insight out of that, then you need data in place. If you don't have that much of data, whatever implementation you are doing, that is not going to give you the right output you want. But I would say don't stop doing that. Do that. Build your data slowly, start getting into it. Certain cases where definitely you will have outcome is when you're actually transforming your processes. If you're transforming a business process with AI transformation, or you're implementing AI to do your business process better, your result is 100% guaranteed. You will see speed happening over there. You will also see quality happening over there. These are the two KPIs you can look into any AI implementations. If you are able to, improve your speed, and if you are able to improve your quality, then that's it. You will have result out of there. So use cases are very important. What you're doing.
Is that the biggest mistake that businesses are making? Do you think?
Like mistake means like not implementing it, or
in that implementation, in that encouragement process, the implementation process.
It is, because there is a confusion with business owners, or with enterprises or entities or line whoever is implementing it. What is the need of AI within an organization, right? Every businesses has its own very successful process. Like it can be big, small. You are acquiring clients on board. You are delivering your solutions across to them. You have pre post delivery customer support. Everything is there. So everything is lined in for all the businesses. What you can look into it. Look into your exact process, how it is happening, how are you doing it, how are you interacting with your clients, what kind of products and solutions are coming into it, and then digitize that. That is what you need to focus on. When companies try to think beyond this and try to bring in something, you are getting into waters which you are not familiar with. You are going to rely on someone else's insights about your business, and the result can either be delayed, or the result might not be what you want to do. So if you want to see, I would say any businesses doing AI transformation right now, transform your business process. Because that means if you have 100 employees and they're spending 8 hours in a day, the same time with 100 employees, they will only spend 2 hours in a day for that. So you can use your people to either expand into new markets, or have better services and everything like that.
But in most organizations, I guess, and I don't mean to be too general with this, but I think in many cases, there's a lack of understanding at the top level of just what AI can do. Because AI is it's new tech, really. But, for perhaps people of a generation when AI wasn't a thing, it's hard to trust it. And it's getting to grips with it.
Yeah. See, I come from a generation where my engineering studies, the only book I had to read in my library was one book about fuzzy logics, nothing beyond that.
Right.
My first programming language, my introduction was FoxPro. I'm sure many of the people won't even know what FoxPro is. Second language was C. So I do come from an era where, software engineering is completely different. And these are two entirely different era. When you're talking about softwares with the AI, this is something new, and anyone can start from this point. You don't need to know the history of software or anything. I'm sorry, I missed your question. What was it?
No, it's really just the implementation of AI to me is that top level thing, and if it's not understood at the very top, how does that run down the chain?
See, that is exactly the problem. Organizations right now, your AI implementation, it is not from top to down. What is happening is, people working in each organization, they are trying to bring in tools to do whatever they are doing, and some achieve great results, some doesn't. Up the ladder, they only see the results, and they upload for it. What happens is the moment they leave, the company is like not aware what has happened, how the things has been done. So what people at the top should know is these tools are definitely going to make your business 100x faster, and you'll be able to get into much bigger markets and everything. So just embrace it, make it, let's say, corporate strategy or enterprise strategy. That is what you should build into it.
So it just becomes day to day, and it becomes a thing that.
So that is how you should look into it.
It's natural.
Start your process. There's nothing. I think this is very evident. AI is going to be everywhere. We are going to. It is not going to be like only certain people is having access to it. It's an enabler which everyone has access to it. So small, medium, it doesn't matter.
Sure. Well, from a small, medium enterprise point of view, where should you start? How do you know if an AI tool is worth it? Is it worth the investment? And where do you start with your own business? Because different AI different AIs work in different ways and suit different businesses in different ways, don't they?
I'm a technologist. I'm a technology evangelist. I love this thing.
I know you do.
Yeah. So there is no AI which is going to be bad in your implementations for your businesses.
Okay.
The only thing you have to rightfully do is trust your business process and trust your service and products, and then see. Don't change that. I wouldn't say any companies don't jump in and change your business processes. Don't do that. You keep a process in place, bring the tools which will translate your process. For example, if you are a content creator, someone working in video production, look into AI models which help you, produce videos at a much faster quality. Put your humans in the loop basically to improve the quality of that final output. Do the edits and cuts manually, but the production of the video you can put it to models. If you are a software engineering company like us, invest into tools like Cloud. Put your human engineers to basically make sure the quality is retained, the testing is happening. So there is no wrong implementation with AI if you're starting with your business processes, because you are doing something which you know very well, and if it goes wrong you can immediately flag. Let's take a radio station as an example. If you are trying to do something which you are very aware of, Tim, you will be immediately able to understand, no, the software is doing wrong, AI is doing wrong, this is not what the output I want to do, right?
Sure.
But if you try to get into waters where you're not familiar with, you will be just expecting some magic to happen over there. Don't do that. Stick on with your gut feeling. Do that. Just understand this is a digital transformation, nothing beyond it. But it is 1000x faster, and you have the ability to produce better quality with lesser people on the team.
So, I mean, we have company-wide here. We have a Claude, and it's very useful in my role as a research tool, and it's very useful to check certain things. I have to double check, of course, but it's very useful to check if I've missed a question that I should ask. I can, I could feed a whole interview in and say, what have I not asked here that I should ask? So that's useful. So I can cover more bases. But which business tasks are, I guess, easiest to improve with AI? That's my very specific case. But how is it being used really successfully in businesses?
See, we have an architecture. It's an in-house architecture which we have built for AI transformations. Any business, if you try to break it down, there are three things which happens in any organization. One is conversations, which is communications, which happen with your client over phone or directly through emails, whatever it is. Second is documentations. These communications get converted into some sort of document. It can be invoice, it can be contracts, it can be the task you agreed to do, it can just be a hi on an email, it can be anything. And the third is the decisions. So if you try to break down an organization into conversations, documents, and decisions, this is the only thing what happens within a document, within an organization. There's nothing beyond that happening, right? So this can be the process in which you look into. This is what you can start, with implementation. So if you're taking what you want to do, start bringing tools in place to transform your conversations. Your emails can be automated. Emails can be automated with your tonality into it, not like, Claude just generating something and sending across to it. I can give an example in an organization. Our leads are completely managed automatically to an extent where I get the invite booked in my calendar. So if you drop me an email saying, Anas, can we do certain things? The second email which comes back to you, it is from my agent, and it communicates with you till it gets your entire requirement, and then it books a meeting with me on your confirmation in my calendar. So all I have to do is just open my calendar, look into, I have a meeting with Tim today, and this is the conversation, this is the agenda of the meeting. I should be prepared and go and talk.
So I don't actually know if when I email you or call you, am I actually talking to Anas?
No, with you, I'm personally messaging with you actually.
Right, okay. No, I get you. So, I mean, that's a very real benefit. So that frees you up.
Yeah.
Frees up your time.
Exactly, that frees up the time because, there is also documentations, I can tell you, since we do bespoke solutions and platform. That means our every proposals are very unique and different. There's no template I can take and deliver it across to each client. Now what happens is from a conversation to a proposal, before it used to be at least a week's work. Now it is few hours, 2-3 hours, I'll be able to send a proposal, a government proposal across to it. Be ready for that. My job is to vet it, and I can come in and say, no, I need to refine this in a certain way. Add the case studies over here, all this. So whatever I fancy to have it in my document, now I'm able to do it within a time one by hundredth or one by hundredth of the time I normally will spend into it.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
is the beauty, and this is where you should start.
Okay, so do you think some businesses are guilty of trying to employ or to utilize too many AI tools now? Are you seeing that?
From my experience and from the clients I interact with, no, I don't see much. There is a lot of not from a business level, as an organization, there's no standard procedure, or there's no instruction saying you have to use these many tools and everything. And I don't see businesses are buying into it, because most of them are either in, but I feel they're not buying the right tools to do it. One big
Right.
problem over there is rather than number of tools. Right now, what is happening in terms of AI transformation is companies are building tools which actually, or solutions which actually solve problems, and these are depending upon multiple tools. So your process is actually scattered across many places. Some use Claude, some use GPT, some use Gemini, some might use some other model sedans or something like that. So what happens is, you are actually digitizing a business process, but it is scattered all over the place, and it is again not centralized. So this is actually the bigger problem than using multiple tools. Using multiple tools or buying multiple tools are fine, and also the spend, sometimes it is not actually valid. You have better way to spend on your AI models, on your subscriptions and everything. That is not understood very well. There are certain ways. For example, Claude. You can have your own fully AI server within your office doing everything for you without paying your enterprise level fees and everything for that. There's a lot of implementation ways you can do that. Maybe I cannot talk about that over here, but there's a lot of ways you can do it. This is where the understanding is coming weak with people. But buying a lot of tools, I don't see people doing that.
Okay.
Maybe they're trying it out, but
Well, you feel as though now, I mean, I'm starting to see now people using lots of AI tools in lots of different ways, and I see it, for example, on LinkedIn posts,
understood. Yeah.
that kind
Yeah,
of thing,
yeah.
and you see it with when the way some people respond to you
Of
by
course.
email.
LinkedIn
obviously.
is I think 90% of content in LinkedIn is now
I
purely.
kind of think it probably
yeah,
is, and
yeah.
it's to be honest, it's a lot of it is just not very readable.
There's not.
From
See,
my
this,
point
see,
of view.
this is what is. See, again, what AI does is it just generates and give you the content. It dump you with content. It doesn't mean that is the way you want to talk, or that is what you want to express yourself. So we as humans, I think we are lazy by design, or maybe I am lazy by design. But you know what? We should not just take what any LLM models or reasoning models give it to you. What you should do is rather than you sitting and thinking about it for hours and writing down something, you have got a first draft. Now your job is, read through it very clearly. And if that is not what you want, even line by line, word by word, go back and tell, no, this is not how I want things to be in place. You want to keep my way of talking or my style of talking. This is what people doesn't do. And soon those contents will be ignored by all the algorithms. If you just, very soon it's going to happen. All these, content which is being generated by AI, which is looking very similar in terms of context, those things won't be ranked. So whatever benefits people are getting on social media or SEO, those will not. It's an eventual journey. It's going to happen very soon.
How good, Anas, is AI at customer service, do you think? Responding to, because customer service is a particular issue. If you have a complaint about a product, how effective is AI at dealing with an angry customer? That lazy person by design.
See, one thing for sure about customer support is you must have the ability to talk to a human the moment you are not happy with the machine you are talking to, irrespective. This is something that has been existing pre-agentic, pre-AI era as well. There are a lot of brands which has tried to explore into this line, and you can never talk to a human. You just go through loop and loop and loop. No, so that's a problem, fundamental issue. Any system by design, if the customer is not happy with the software it is interacting, you must be able to switch to human instantly, not just wait through loops or ask them to, I'll drop an email and everything. But now in 2026, when we are talking about customer support, of course you can have beautiful automated conversations happening. We have an example. We have an AI agent called Scarlett in our website. Scarlett is like a sales conversational agent trained on almost 12 years of our data. It does beautiful job. So Scarlett has given instructions not to be rude with people, be very friendly, accommodate them, all thing. and I can see the conversations what people are having with it. They're very happy. They're in fact more happy rather than talking to a human, because this time no one is judging them, and then people are very smart as well. They try to play around with it. But the moment they are not happy with the agent and they say, I want to talk to a human, then we must be able to put a human in conversation with them directly, especially when there's a complaint or a frustrated customer happening.
Yeah.
But to answer you, yes, you can do beautiful job. I'm not a fan of voices on chat agents because I think it is too immature right now. I'm a perfectionist to that extent. So
Yeah, I think you can tell, can't you? Now,
Yeah, of course.
I mean, if you see AI generated content on Instagram, you know, and it's much harder to relate to it.
And everyone is doing that, So
Yeah, well, they are.
like in my own organization, our social media post is now being fully AI generated, So I had been asking, why are we doing this? And they have their valid reasons to play around with algorithms that, the more posts we have, we'll have better insights and everything. So they have some strategy coming down the line. And for implementing that strategy, they're clearly using Claude and GPT and everything to generate. But it is very boring to see because the style design, see, we are losing that individuality of what everyone had before. A design or a content done by 10 people will look very unique. Now it is like everything is looking very monotonous. Everyone is having same style of conversation, same designs and everything, which will change. It's just the beginning of that AI revolution. So it is going to change eventually. We are going to get bored with what we see, and then the market will be forced to change by itself.
Oh, in a couple of years, AI is just going to it'll just be there. And
Not a couple of years, by end of this year, AI is going to be everywhere, actually.
Actually, you've got a point, yeah. But it will just be, it'll be a thing that we're
we won't be worried
used
about
to.
it, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you something. I made some notes, actually. What jobs should people keep doing despite AI being present? Because there's great worry over, AI taking over people's jobs. And you can understand that. But what jobs will always be there for people? Do you
There's
think?
no point worrying about AI taking over your job. It is going to take over the job. Not take over the job. It is going to ease up what you are doing. So whatever you were using to do to make money, 90% of that thing is going to, or maybe 100% of that is going to be done by an AI agent. Your job will actually become a supervisor job where you make sure the AI is doing exactly what you want to do. That is the evolution what we are in. We are going to see that by this year, I think by next year Q1, you will have AI implementation everywhere. Okay. Now, what jobs we should keep is, it's an existential question more than a job. You should not stop thinking. You should not give away your logical skills to AI. You should not give your decision-making skills to AI. What is happening is people even have their personal conversations with AI, talking what to do next and everything. So if you are getting addicted to it, you will come to a point the day, this stops, you will panic. You don't know what you will be like. You're a headless human. You don't know what to do. Your thinking capacity has completely gone.
Yeah.
So what you have to keep to yourself is, let the machines do the job, let the softwares do the job. But whatever it is done, it is your job to vet it, your job to think twice and push the AIs to do bigger into it. So things to keep to yourself is definitely the strategy, definitely the thinking process of it, execution process of it. Because as humans, we'll evolve better than this. Our brains has that ability to think beyond what AI does.
Okay. In a sentence, we're out of time. We're way over time, actually.
Okay.
In a sentence, what does using the right way really mean for a business? Could you think of anybody, without naming any names specifically, really getting it right with AI at the moment?
So in this region, I cannot name anything, but there are businesses doing it very well. Indeed, in terms of, like, when we talk about, like I said again, process automations, there are a lot of businesses doing it perfectly well. There are a lot of small entities, where they only have 5 people, 10 people, organization, companies doing a job of 50 to 100 people amazingly well. The customer service quality has improved. The way they communicate back to them. See, now the game is, you have an opportunity to level yourself. There's certain things which you only had access for MNCs or the big consultants. Now you have the ability to perform at their level, being a small business without spiking up your operational expenses.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of businesses doing that. Hell, lot of businesses are doing that. The only thing, again, for me to summarize it is like trust the business processes what you're doing. You just digitize that process and understand AI is a software which can think on your behalf on certain checkpoints, put it in the right place. You will free up your time. You will have less headache. You can have more quality. You can have better speed, which also resonates back to the campaigns which is going, like the Dubai initiatives and everything. Speed is something which you can attain. So there's a lot of businesses doing that. I'm not talking about startups. Let's keep startups aside. I'm talking about small, medium enterprises doing amazing job with such things.
Okay. And remember, you're the boss of the AI. The AI is not the boss of you.
No, you are. See, AI is your employee. It's a very smart employee, and you are paying one. But I don't know what is the factor over there. But you're paying nothing. To have an AI implementation. Actually, if you look at your ROI with AI implementation, ROI is humongous. So there's no worry for organizations to think, oh, how much I'm going to invest heavy. Of course, there are some other. I'm talking generic use cases. 90% of the use cases in the market for businesses, your ROI is 100x or 1000x with AI implementation, because we are not doing something out of the blue. Everyone is going to do the same thing. They are just automating the existing process very easily. That's it.
It's good to talk to you. Anas Abdulatif is the founder of Hash Include, a fan of AI. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much, man.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Don't forget to like, follow and subscribe for more interviews like this from Mira Business FM.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
It's the morning drive. Fresh uncertainty is hanging over the Middle East after the latest escalations between the US and Iran. Even as both sides signal they are still open to talks, and with investors watching oil prices, shipping routes, and regional stability, the big question is whether diplomacy can still deliver lasting peace and restore business confidence. Joining us is Dr. Zaidon Al-Kanani, founding director of the Arab Perspectives Institute. Hopefully we can get some insights on the outlook for negotiations, for regional security, and what the latest developments mean for businesses and investors. Dr. Zaidon, good to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
We've seen a pattern of fire followed by a truce, followed by renewed escalation. Is this latest round of talks, or has this latest round of talks in Oman been fundamentally different, or are we witnessing a tactical pause, if you like, while both sides catch their breath? What's happening now?
Well, to be frank, the MOU, which did derive out of these talks, were never seen as a permanent solution from the first place. It was seen as a temporary ceasefire, if you may, that would have calmed down the escalation that was unexpected by all sides involved. It was also an attempt, as you rightfully mentioned, where there would be internal assessments by all parties, figuring out how to return to the situations if it were to revive again, as we are gradually noticing now. But this doesn't mean that all sides in this conflict are not interested in stability or a solution. I think it has been very notified and recognized from the early stages of this conflict that even both the United States and Iran, alongside the regional actors that have been impacted by this war, have been wanting and putting enough effort into wanting to end this war. In fact, there was a stage where we noticed that the days of the negotiations preceded the days of the conflict. I think the multilateral element of this war is what is complicating it, and that is due to the Israeli presence and element. This is also a notified issue by all Gulf countries that are arguably long-standing allies of the United States, economically, commercially, politically, institutionally, educationally, and in many different industries. It was perceived that this conflict had only aligned with the Israeli approach towards the region, which made it very odd for many Gulf actors in the region, including those that were close to normalization with Israel. So these talks seems to be that they will continue to be ongoing, given that most countries affected by it geographically and involved in it politically are impacted by it in one way or another. However, it seems like there will be a permanent scar in the relationship between the United States and many regional actors.
It does seem that way. It's very hard to read whether these latest escalations will ultimately lead to a strengthening in the resolve to find meaning in the talks, or if they're weakening the prospects for that. The Strait of Hormuz is to market confidence is key. Iran has signaled it values control over the strait more than avoiding renewed conflict. For a business leader in the Gulf, how do we interpret this? Are we entering a long-term era where maritime transit through the Gulf is permanently conditional?
I think business investors wouldn't have to be concerned about the legal mechanisms that would erupt out of this war when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz as much as policymakers would do. What this war has mainly conducted or created is that it has been transforming from something called the Iran war into the war on the Strait of Hormuz. And this comes as a sudden surprise by most parties involved, given that it was clearly not in the calculations of the US administration when they were imagining and planning for this war. It was also not in the calculations of many Western allies that feel like they didn't put enough effort in advocating against this war for happening, similarly to the Gulf efforts that were attempting for this war not to happen, despite their share of differences with the Iranian government and regime. I can imagine that business investors would now want to look at already existing industries or emerging industries that would derive out of this conflict as a form of economic resilience. We've noticed throughout history, even particularly in contemporary history, that certain political crises, and not even necessarily wars in this type of scale, would allow many economic circles to notice gaps in the market that would be beneficial. I think finding alternative routes and trading routes for businesses to survive isn't a concern that would be a burden on the shoulders of business investors. It is a concern that will have to be dealt with policymakers.
Reports do suggest that the conflict has, in the words of one report, irreversibly shaken the image of the Gulf as a safe harbor for international capital. How do you read this? From your perspective, is this just a temporary reputational dip, if you like, or are we seeing a fundamental shift in how global investors view the risk premium of being based in the Middle East?
Well, I think many countries have picked themselves up from much more complex and intense economic crises in the past. One cannot forget that this is the very same global economy that has survived the global financial crisis. It's the same global economy that survived the economic crises that many European economies faced following Brexit. This is the same global economy that has survived and bypassed the consequences of COVID-19. A lot of people would obviously counter-argue this point that we didn't necessarily survive. Inflation has become enormously difficult, and it has only made it even harder to many low-income and low-middle-class income communities around the world. Even this part of the world has dealt with its fair share of many political developments throughout its contemporary history. One cannot forget the challenges of the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, the challenges of the Gulf War around between 90 and 1991. In fact, countries such as Iraq, that were one of the most war-torn countries since the US invasion in 2003, is now seen as a country that is picking up itself economically, and even many Gulf investments have been entering the country. So I think it might be too early and too unfair to judge and assess already about a war that we don't even know the future of it. It might end next week and it might take another few months. That this war would completely eliminate the economic standards of the Gulf region. We also have to keep in mind Gulf countries are 6 different polities, 6 different sovereign states with very diverse economies, very different geographical sizes, very different interests in their investments in natural resources. I think what's mostly concerning about the future of the Gulf region is imagining the transnational alliances, if there will be any reshuffling alliances in the region, within the Gulf region, but even in the region beyond the Middle East. I think there are more countries around the world that unfortunately are also facing economic challenges erupting out of this war. You've got countries such as Philippines, countries such as Nigeria, even countries in the United Kingdom and France, where people are imagining that if the blockade and the disruption of the movement around the Strait of Hormuz continues until winters, people can't imagine how the gas bills would be spiking.
It's a good point to make. I mean, we're seeing energy majors and regional airlines recalibrating for lower volumes and higher insurance premiums. From I guess a UAE perspective, for a mid-sized startup or an SME here, I'm interested in your opinion on the most important defensive move they should be making right now to survive a more prolonged period of regional instability.
I think the UAE and many other countries in the Gulf are imagining an existential viewpoint here in the future. Now, if we were to take a step back, and as previously mentioned, the Gulf have had their share of differences with Iran throughout history, with some countries having to improve its relations in a much more direct way, and others keeping it stalled in a different way, despite having some strong economic relationships and investments from and to Iran, in the case of the UAE and Iran today, which is why many of the Iranian attacks against the UAE came as a surprise for many economic analysts, given that Iran has some of its largest assets outside the country within the UAE financial sector. I think the Gulf security framework is imagining itself in the future between perhaps 2 different ideological schools of thought. But before looking at that long term, we need to imagine short term, is that most Gulf allies are supporting the idea of an urgent solution and an end to the war at any cost. And then we might derive into looking into these diverse approaches, where some might be promoting a stronger ideological school of thought, referring to the deterrence camp, which is closer to the UAE approach, could have been closer as well to the Saudi Arabian approach, but the Saudis may have moved towards some form of imagining better tools of diplomacy, given the mistrust towards the US. As previously mentioned, many of these Gulf allies believe that their long-standing relationships by the United States, economically, politically, and militarily, hasn't been recognized enough when this war was conducted. And then you've got the other school of thought within the Gulf, which is closer to the Qatari and the Omani school of thought, which wants to promote diplomacy as a final and permanent solution in this regional neighborhood, which includes themselves and Iran. However, what's even complicating that school of thought, and there has been public statements by the Qatari Foreign Ministry and by many countries in the region, even beyond the Gulf, that have advocated for the importance of mediation efforts, is the continuity of the Iranian attacks against these countries, despite claiming that it wants to build permanent brotherly, quote-unquote, relations with these countries. The issue we have here is that Iran views these countries as part of an overarching pretext of US influence in the region, which is why we're imagining that it will be leaving a permanent scar in the relationship between both Iran and the Gulf. Hence, it'll be very difficult to imagine that the permanent relationship will survive and be sustainable.
In your research, Dr. Zenon, you've looked at how nations try to keep economics separate from politics. Given this current crisis, to what extent can the private sector in the Gulf decouple from the geopolitical shocks that we have seen and are continuing to see? Or is the integration too deep?
The integration is certainly too deep institutionally if we were to look at it in the short term. But in the long term, I think there will be a lot of really strategic evaluations. I think what will be noticed is that once notified that this was a part of the region where there was a strong focus on natural resources on one hand, but also a strong focus on sectors such as tech, AI, edtech, entertainment, the sports industry, tourism, culture, and arts. And it should continue to put these efforts into it, given that this war shouldn't, and we never hope for it to continue and last permanently. But I think there will be now a very strong focus into integrating and implementing geopolitical security frameworks into these fields. We've already noticed a strong interest by many of these Gulf countries in investing in private educational institutions that would teach international relations, politics, military studies. I think what we are imagining now, especially given that there are many political elitist conversations, and some of them have been perceived by the regional media, is that many of these Gulf countries now are imagining a future relationship between an imagined political community that unifies the GCC. We've all known that the GCC has always been one of the most successful unified bodies in the region, but given the recent share of differences they have been facing even prior to this conflict, it does come as a surprise, which is perhaps one of the most optimistic results that did derive and emerge out of this crisis, is that now they're realizing that they may want to create a stronger collectivity that would ensure that it could protect their collective existentialism, which was collectively threatened by this war. I think many multinational companies and strategy houses will now feel more confident in pitching ideas about how to support and enhance these countries' risk assessments and risk preparations and frameworks and institutional muscles when it comes to their geopolitical security frameworks.
The headlines focus on oil strikes, oil prices and military strikes. What's the silent economic impact that you're tracking? Is it a drop in FDI? Is it perhaps a change in, I don't know, the talent migration patterns that have historically fueled the growth in the Gulf region?
So one cannot deny that a lot of countries in the world, whether it's Russia or China or even arguably the United States, as per Trump even stated, that his economy would be able to provide the alternative oil that wouldn't be able to be found from the Gulf in the same expected timeline by many of their client economies around the world. There's an interesting issue here is that, and if we look closer into the oil industry, is that if you represent a country that has had an agreement with a country that I controlled for the past 40 years, and suddenly I'm not able to provide you that oil due to a disruption of routing or trading or movement, it doesn't mean you can find that alternative to suit you immediately, because not all oils are the same. The oil in Saudi Arabia, the oil in Iraq, the oil in Libya, the oil from Russia, the oil from other countries around the world are different. Hence, they're used for different purposes around the world, which means that many of these economies might try to find temporary solutions or even wait for some of these economic allies and partners that they have established a long-standing economic trading partnership with for a very long time. We can also imagine that there might be other businesses and there might be other economic inventions that might erupt out of these conflicts. There might be industries that will be discovered. There might be other products and goods and services that might find themselves being discovered by these regional economies, discovered by many of these trading routes around the world as an alternative. Some of them might jump into the picture as a temporary alternative and find themselves becoming permanent solutions based on a common interest between the seller and the buyer. This might be a very optimistic point of view, but one cannot deny that many of these crises in history, in contemporary history, especially in this part of the world, has been the perfect opportunities for business investments to notice new elements that could benefit their business and economic relationships with the agencies they deal with in the countries.
So with that in mind, what signals should businesses be watching in the coming weeks?
Alternative services and goods that could be delivered that weren't be able to be delivered. Alternative routes to the Strait of Hormuz, which do exist around the Sea of Oman, around the Red Sea next to Saudi Arabia. There has been a lot of discussion about a route that connects movements between the GCC, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. Obviously, it wouldn't fill the gap immediately. The global economy's 20% reliance on the movement on natural resources has been through the Strait of Hormuz. So neither the economy of this region or the rest of the world will be able to fill that gap immediately. However, if the crises were to be continued and the disruption of the movement of goods and services through the strait would be continued and impacted by the continuity of this conflict, alternatives will be discovered in one way or another. That's always been the case in world history, where the consequences of political developments, if it were to be permanent, it does not mean that the economic consequences were to be permanent. There will always be an alternative solution that will fill it.
Can I ask you for an opinion, I guess? Project our situation 6 months from now to, let's say, the new year, into January 2027. What seems to you to be the most likely reality? Are we living with a manageable tension, or should businesses be stress testing balance sheets for a not quite such an agreeable scenario?
I think, and this perhaps will make it easier to look at it from a distance for many business investors, is that the current level, the current military level, the current status quo, the geopolitical status quo of the conflict as it is today wouldn't continue. The United States cannot afford it. Iran can't afford it. Even Israel, that has been very open about wanting to continue this conflict, regardless of the U.S. approach, regardless of the progress between the U.S. and Iran talks. The current status quo of this war wouldn't continue as it is, but I think the regional rivalries led by both Iran and Israel, as an attempt to proclaim their positions as regional powerhouses, would continue, which means that it will be a huge difference between the implications to the micro level and macro level businesses and economic opportunities in the region. Do I believe that they will be able to revamp themselves and integrate and adopt into the new situation to ensure that business as usual would continue, but in a much different way? Yes, certainly. I think the region has faced bigger economic consequences and challenges, including the global economy, many decades before.
Dr. Zaidan Al-Kinani is the founding director of the Arab Perspectives Institute. I must apologize for our delay in getting to you this morning, Dr. Zaidan, but we did get there in the end. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
As always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more interviews like this from Mira Business FM. Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
This is the Morning Drive at Mira Business FM. From rising customer expectations to regional disruption, the pressure on delivery networks has never been higher. This morning, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most visible logistics operations in the UAE, the technology, perhaps the leadership, the split-second decisions that keep one of the region's biggest logistics operations moving. How real-time data drives decisions, how you balance speed with driver welfare, and the innovations shaping the future of last-mile delivery across the Emirates and the wider region. Konstantin Kodsi, or Kosti, as he's known, is the Director of Logistics for the UAE at Talabat, with me in the studio. It's good to meet you.
Thanks a lot, Tim, for having me here today. So let me just start by giving a little bit of an introduction of Talabat. I think that would be good for our audience.
Jump in.
So Talabat is actually operational in 8 markets as of today. And after our Q1 results, which is an impressive thing for us at that scale, we are already growing at 23% year over year, quarter one. And then we are serving almost 6+ million customers across the region. We have 65,000 plus vendors and around 120,000 plus riders.
Okay, so you hit me with the figures early on. They're impressive figures. Let me sort of get the history of Talabat from you. I mean, I'm aware of Talabat. I've been here for some time, and I know there are a few iterations. There have been a few owners of Talabat, but I think most of us kind of take a business like yours a little bit for granted. And I don't mean that to be impolite, but it's pretty simple. It's kind of seamless. You know, you order, you pay, somebody turns up with your stuff. That's kind of the model. And it seems really easy. So I want to delve into that. There's obviously more to it. So tell me a bit about the history of Talabat, and then tell me about your role, because you're head of logistics.
For sure. We've been acquired by Delivery Hero, I would say, in 2016, 2017, around that time. Yeah. The company was founded in 2004 from Kuwait.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And since then, this is where we are. We IPO'd in 2024 on the Dubai Stock Exchange.
Right.
And this is, in short, the history of the company. The growth has been steady over the last years, which is, again, still impressive, provided the scale of the business that we have.
Yeah.
And where my role actually sits is, it's a privilege, I would say, to have this role, because it's a fun role. It sits at the intersection of strategy, execution, and innovation.
Yeah.
And trust me, Tim, there's not a lot of roles that actually allows you to live in those 3 different worlds. Because usually either you are expert in the first one, the second one, or the third one. But for you to be able to do the 3 of them is just beyond exciting. Now, on top of this, my main or core job, I would say, is looking after the cost per order, which is one of the biggest line items in the P&L and has a lot of commercial implications. And it actually covers almost everything, from your partner to the rider welfare, to the customer experience that you actually want to be providing, and finally to how competitive do you want to be in the market that you are operating in. And given the UAE is a very competitive market, that becomes even more important.
Sure.
Now, to your point, you're saying about the seamless stuff. I think this is flattening, because that means we're doing a very good job for us to be delivering such a seamless experience for you, while it is not actually that simple.
No, I mean, I know, and I'm underplaying it for obvious reasons. It seems to me that it's a little bit like a swan on a lake. It looks serene and it looks beautiful and it's regal. But you know, underneath, the feet are doing this. They're flapping like crazy. It must be a little bit like that behind the scenes. Incredibly complex, I think. You recently shared a video, a behind-the-scenes look at your life at Talabat on social media. What would you like more people to understand about the complexity of managing a logistics operation in the way that you do?
I'll go back to the point of you saying that, okay, you go to the app, I place an order, then I get it in 15, 20 minutes, and it looks seamless, right?
Yeah.
That order actually is being planned months before it's actually being placed. What do I mean by that? So every single company.
That worries me a little bit because it means you're inside my head. I don't like that.
Not yet, but hopefully with AI we'll get there. I'm joking. So months ahead, we actually be planning what kind of demand we are forecasting, and that has a lot of machine learning models, plus the trends, plus what are we expecting in the growth of your population, etc. Once that is in and that is locked, then this is where us, from a logistics perspective, we understand how many riders do we actually need for us to maintain that seamless experience, right?
Right.
Then the operating model of Talabat is actually riders are not directly under us. We have partners, external partners that we contract with, and they are the ones that actually provide us with the rider supply that is needed. Now, once this is locked in and this is communicated across our partners, then our job becomes on onboarding the rider, training the rider, making sure that he has a road safety training, because that is one of the most important things.
Yeah.
Then providing him all the inventory equipment that he needs, understanding how the experience works from a vendor to a customer side. And then lastly, and the most important point as well, is the insurance, where he's insured and he's covered. And then he starts delivering the order. That's the first phase of it, right?
Right.
Then when you get weeks ahead, this is when it becomes getting even more complicated, because you will have to forecast the demand at the neighborhood level, at an hourly level, and then staff the riders depending on that. So we have as close as possible from a proximity perspective of a rider to that vendor for us to optimize the delivery time and deliver you the experience that you are expecting as a customer. Now, fast forward to the day itself, live operations. A lot of things can disrupt live operations. And this is where we have a live ops team that actually can step in, be it on ground or behind the systems that are running, and intervene for it to smoothen out or adjust and arrest whatever problem we are facing. And now the last step of it is, okay, you look at the performance, you look how you are actually performing across the days, across the hours, and then you adjust, and then you repeat that cycle all over again.
Okay, so incredibly complex, and even more complex in a city like Dubai, where it seems to me, I joked a few years ago that I went away for 4 weeks in the summer, and I was driving to work the day after I got back, and there was a big new tower that had just appeared. And I'm like, was that built in a month? What on earth is going on here? But we literally have neighborhoods popping up, it seems, constantly. So you have to plan for that. So you're planning in a city that's growing at a rate unlike probably any other city on the planet, and cities around the region in a similar way as well.
Yeah, which makes
a nice problem to have, but it's
a great problem to have, because think about it this way. This is a market. The UAE is one of the best markets in the world when it comes to growth and the continuous growth at this scale, right? And that is a great problem to have, because you want to be operating in such markets. That's the first thing. The second thing is, this is how you structure then your team and you structure your operation. And okay, how do we actually scout these locations? How do we actually have good partnership across with developers that give us the insights on which areas will actually be developed and at what time will they actually be done and unlocked? And then you continue with the visits of the scouting until you figure out that those buildings now are done and they are open. And this is where you start increasing your coverage, or even look at some of our verticals that can actually open stores in these expanded areas. The likes of T-Mart, our grocery vertical that delivers to you in 15 to 20 minutes. And then the likes of our kitchens that actually are dark kitchens that have different brands operating from a single location, which can actually invest in opening there and servicing for these people.
Right.
And it's an important point, because those are the areas that you want to continuously win. So your growth and the next 3 to 5 years is actually continuing to defend your category position within the UAE.
Yeah. I mean, we all use the app. I'm starting to understand the engine behind it, kind of. But behind every delivery is massive real-time data, right? That's one point in your business. It's a phrase we hear all the time, real-time data. But in your world, what is the primary metric? Is it expected time ETA accuracy? Is it cost per delivery? Is it driver utilization? How do you weigh those against each other? Because you must be doing that on a daily
Of course,
basis.
and this is where optimization will always kick in, because some of the metrics you will need to will not always go hand in hand. They might go opposite to each other. But however, with certain optimization and thinking outside the box, the best approaches and solution is when you move those metrics together in the same direction. Now, when we're talking about utilization of the riders, that's one of the most important metrics, because it dictates as well part of the rider welfare when we're talking about the earnings. Second, when it comes to the customer facing, what we really care about is to be as reliable as possible, meaning that when you open the app, what is the last or first thing that you check when you're ordering? Do you check the promised delivery time, for example?
Good question. With food, with other things, much less so.
Okay, so let's say you're checking and it's 30 minutes, right? And then you receive your order in 60 minutes. How are you feeling?
Getting frustrated, slightly upset, thinking, will I use them again?
Exactly. Now, if I show you 60 minutes and you place the order and you received it in 60 minutes, how are you feeling?
That you've met my expectations.
Amazing. So that reliability piece is very important.
Gotcha.
So delivery time are important when you're trying to make your service as fast as possible for you to convert the people that actually like the speed part. And this, we are seeing more of a trend where the customer behavior is moving towards needing stuff as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the reliability piece is the most important one, because at the end of the day, what you are expecting, we actually need to meet in a seamless way.
Well, this is the thing. Convenience is a thing now, right? 10 years ago, convenience in this kind of frame really wasn't a thing. 10, 15 years ago, we would pick up the delivery order on the way home and get home and get stuck in traffic. It would be cold and, there was frustration. Food wasn't as good. I'm going off on a tangent now, but you know what I mean. So now convenience is this thing. And I wonder, we're at this point where I was telling you a story off air. I used a delivery app for something recently. I could not have got to the store, bought the stuff, came back in the time that it was delivered. Just would not have been possible. So it's exceeding all expectations. So scaling in that way is incredibly complex. And then when you have to match that to the physical expansion of the city that we live in, you can see the issues. Fast isn't a preference. Fast is like a business model now, right?
I would say this is where we are moving, and it will at some point it will become a hygiene and not something that I actually offer to the customers.
Yeah. What's the secret to maintaining the operational resilience that you have? It's been tough times for the last 4 months, right? Particularly tough for most businesses. But how do you maintain that kind of resilience and make sure that deliveries are reliable? Because your thing needs to be, we deliver on time every time. That's kind of the point, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a very good question, actually. And operation at that scale, Tim, will require you to already have SOPs and BCPs that are embedded in your operating model.
Okay.
That's the start.
Yeah.
And those should not be created in solo. What do I mean by this? Those are created hand in hand with authorities, with respective government authorities like RTA, Dubai Police, ITC, Abu Dhabi Police, right? For you to actually meet the local standard. So when things actually go out of hand, we are all aligned on how are we going to tackle this problem.
Right.
Now, any new problem and anything that you have on paper, when you go into execution, sometimes it won't be 100% the same. And this is where you keep an open line communication with authorities on how are we adjusting and what are the things and the approaches that we are actually doing. So for me, if you don't have that relationship, it's very hard for you to actually have a resilient operation. That's I would say the backbone of it.
Right.
Now, you go into another 3 things that I can touch point on, which is how you prepare your riders, the training that you give them, the safety angles, the insurance that they have. All these groundworks are there. Second, you have your team, because your team needs to be resilient enough for them to actually be able to carry this operation as well.
Right.
Right? And what was the third point?
So I want to pick up on that for a
Yeah.
moment, actually. So there's a mindset in the business. How do you foster that? Because there are such high sort of customer expectations on a business like yours. I bet customer service are fielding some fairly fruity inquiries at times. Why was my food late? Why was it burned? All that kind of thing. But so there must be a real kind of culture at the company that you have to foster and grow as well. A mentality that people need to have.
Of course. I would say this is where my profile is a little bit not the normal profile that you see. I come from a professional basketball background. I've done that
I saw you play a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about the video later. Yeah.
I've done that for like almost 16 years. I've coached for 6 years in my career. And actually what this provides you and the skills that can actually be transferred into the business world are surprising and actually works.
Yeah.
Because in sports, for you to go through all the challenges and the injuries and the fights within the team or the losses that you go through and actually end up winning a championship, when you go through it, you learn, okay, how do you build that mindset?
Yeah.
How do you prepare your team for them when they are facing the challenge? They are facing it in a calm way because they were already well trained that under pressure, this is how we are operating.
So the sporting mentality, if you like, that the idea that, I mean, forget the competitive side, put that to one side for a moment, but the idea that when you get knocked down, get back up. That's the thing, isn't it?
That's the thing. Plus, you need to endure.
Right.
The endurance is a key piece within how you need to operate. And you need to be okay to be knocked down. And you need to understand that this is part of the game.
Yeah,
okay,
so
I'll
what's
be
gonna
knocked down
happen?
and then I'll
Whether you like
go
it
back
or
up.
not, at some
But
point.
I'll tell you the challenging piece over there was, at the end of the day, those are human beings that are going through something probably for the first time.
Sure.
And the culture that Talabat created in a way where open line communication directly from Exco all the way down to every single team member, always being able to touch point on how every single person is actually doing and any support that is needed. And just coming off as a family, creating that family that is actually not with you in the country. Because if you think about it, the expat rate is super high and not every single person have their family with them here and they have them across another country.
Yeah, for sure.
So this makes it even more challenging because now you have your family checking up on you and asking what is happening, and you're feeling that you're alone here. So the more you create the vibes that you are actually not alone, we are all together in this, and we're covering up for each other and making sure that we keep this ship moving, because at the end of the day, you need to serve that community, and this is one of our main priorities during any disruption that is happening, is impressive. And Talabat has done a lot of good job across this phase from the people and culture function to provide us this support.
Okay. Is it? I mean, it's a heavily people business, even though we just see it as an app. I mean, there are lots of people behind the scenes. It's a good ethos to have. I want to talk to you a little bit about drivers, the riders, in a little while. But I'm interested. Let's get back to the efforts that you have to make in adverse circumstances. You know, when things are disrupted, and not necessarily by what we've seen in the last few months, could be. I don't know, rain, could be a change in weather that, you know, means you have to turn on a dime. How do you, well, I mean, how do you predict that? That's not even the right way to phrase it, but predictive and analytics manages the peaks, I suppose. But how do you account for those moments where you think, what's coming out of the sky? Like, you think back a couple of years to that rain event that we saw.
You took me back a couple of years ago.
Remarkable.
And even now, when it's happening, it became more of a BU. But the challenge specifically to rain, Tim,
yeah,
is that it doesn't appear all the time on your forecast.
it's a particularly good example for you guys as well,
For
because
us.
it's very dangerous, obviously, for the riders.
So if it doesn't show on the forecast, you cannot actually be well prepared for it. And hence why we have our SOPs that can allow us to mobilize as fast as possible and react to the weather condition that is actually happening. Now, one thing that I'm proud of at Talabat is that rider safety is a priority, meaning that it doesn't come as a trade-off with whatever is happening. And we have been tested on multiple occasions, and we actually closed our entire operations for several hours, which has actually cost us hundreds of thousands of orders.
Right.
But we've done that because it wasn't as safe for the riders to actually operate.
Okay.
And for you to be able to take such decisions, right, is
Well, it
shows the value. That
Well, it's the right
Talabat-
decision, but I bet anybody listening or watching now has had a point where a delivery rider, not necessarily from your team, but they've had a moment where they've thought that was a bit risky, that was too fast, what the hell is that rider doing, that kind of thing. So I think front and center for a lot of people is, how are these guys trained? What are the safety procedures? So tell me about how that works. What does a rider have to go through? I know you work with partners, but what does a rider have to go through before they can start work? In a little bit more detail. I know safety gear and everything else.
Okay, so one thing that we have built in is strong partnerships with companies like Belhassa in Dubai, companies like Emirates Transport in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
And those are more of a practical road safety trainings that riders actually go into, and they have to go through cones on top of their driving license and all the things that they have to do. And okay, how do I react in certain situations?
So additional testing over and above the right,
exactly.
Right.
Plus, additionally to our training models that tells the riders and educate the riders on what are different situations that he will be going through and how to operate against it. Now, this is all great, right? But I'll ask you, how will you know which rider to train? And this is the thing that I love the most about what tech actually enabled for us, because we have something that is called telematics. Telematics
I'm aware of it,
is on top of our rider app. What does telematics actually do? It actually tracks the rider driving behavior and then gives you a score. Now, this allows us to coach the low-scoring riders and prevent them to actually get into accident, for us to know that he is a reckless driver and we need to actually coach him.
So you can tell from telematics if somebody is switching lanes a little bit too sharply, or and you can
switching
judge
lanes,
speed,
speeding up, speeding ahead on top of the limit, harsh braking. Is he actually speaking on the phone while he is delivering? Those are all metrics that we can actually track, and those are the components of the score that you actually get from every single rider. And now the way we're tracking this is how many perfect trip that rider actually has. And based on that score, this is how we target. And we've seen a very good improvement in the riders that have the low score go through the process of the coaching and the training and then go back on the field.
So the safety aspects can be improved that way.
Yes.
I would hope that's the one side of it. At the same time, you can optimize number of deliveries, work being done, can't you? So that's what you have to balance there.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm with you. We've nearly run out of time. I feel a bit bad because I haven't got through most of the questions that I wanted to, most of the points that I wanted to ask you about. Let me pick a couple of questions for you just to finish, just very quickly, Kosti. Yeah. All right. I wanted to ask you this because you're involved. This is kind of, I'm not saying you're living for this, but this is your life. This is what you're most involved with. The future. What's the biggest hidden challenge in logistics that if a startup is a founder's listening to this interview at the moment? Okay, Talabat's around since 2004, a vet in the space, no doubt about that. But what do people not pay attention to in logistics? That what's the thing that defines a winner in the logistics space, last mile delivery space?
We will need to go back to every single point that we have discussed in this interview. if
Really?
you want to actually form a winning logistics last mile operating model. All the points that we have discussed during this interview are the things that someone needs to go through for them to create that.
So basically,
on top
listen to
of
this
it,
whole
you-
interview again. I like
Yes.
that. You did my job for me, so I appreciate that. Final thing, what excites you about the future of logistics and delivery services? What makes you get up in the morning?
I would say we are fortunate to be living in the UAE. That's number one, because this is a country that is adopting AI in a very fast pace, I would say. They are betting big on that technology, and this technology is actually evolving as we speak, right? And Talabat being part of this ecosystem is actually doing the same. Now, that excites me because the capabilities that this tech is bringing are things that we thought were impossible, I would say, a couple of years ago. And as you go, it is allowing us to actually go back to the starting line and rethinking what kind of experiences are we actually creating to the customers, and what are the things that we can actually continuously do better or innovate around.
There's a lot more for us to talk about, isn't there? I didn't even get onto the AI question because I knew we need a lot more time for that. For now, Konstantin, or Kosti Kodsi, is the Director of Logistics for the UAE at Talabat. I've enjoyed talking to you. Thanks for coming in.
Same here, Tim. Thanks again.
I appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube right now, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
Welcome to Power List with Tatiana on Mira Business FM, and this week we have Bulut Baji, the founder and president of World Tourism Forum. Bulut, hello, and thank you for joining my program. So, good day.
Hello, Tatiana. Thank you very much for hosting me.
You started the tourism at a very young age, and you made the World Tourism Forum also at a very young age. Please tell us about it.
Yeah, actually, tourism is not as a job for me. It's ambitious for me. I mean, I grew up in tourism when I was 16. Almost 15. I get to high school over tourism, and then I get the education and then internship, and then all this combined. After then, so when you grow up something together, so it became ambitious for you. It's not a job. I mean, today a lot of people are asking me, so I mean, how come you are not bored, or how come you are not tired? Because I'm doing the business that I love. So that's why I don't get tired. I don't get.
So basically, it's like in your DNA.
Yeah, exactly. We can say like that. So I set up before the World Tourism Forum. There are several series that we set up. It's the Tourism Trend Summit, related with the tourism, different summits. But actually, when you come back, so I mean, initially I was the hotelier. So I was working in the hotels. After then, I set up my own travel agency, and then I work with the giant groups in Turkey, and then we made a lot of big events. After then, once in this process, me and my team, and then we said that, okay, let's develop something for us. And because when you do the one event management, after then the event is finished, okay, you are getting money, but end of the story. So it's not continuous. When the CEO is changed or when somebody is changed, so it's stuck. So you have to again build the relationship with the new CEO or the new team, and then after that we decide, okay, what we can do. Then different setups. We work over sports at that time, different conference series, and then tourism, because tourism is our DNA, as you said. But right after then, when me and my team, some of team members, we went to World Economic Forum in 2013. After then, we decided that we have to make this event series as an international level, not local level.
So that was not your event. You just attended some event.
No. Yeah, we attend the World Economic Forum in Davos. After then, we said that, okay, we have to make something in tourism, sports, tourism together, but it have to be with our comments. And then how World Tourism Forum started. And then we structure it. We work almost 6 months over the World Tourism Forum right after then. And then I think our first event with the name of the World Tourism Forum is 2015. And then 2016, 17, then it continued like that. When the COVID come, we decided that, so when you have only the event, so in the structural base, you have some small likeness. And then we decide World Tourism Forum have to be as an institute. So we structured it as an institute in Brussels.
Who are the members of the institute?
So institute members is we accept several. I mean, you can be as a direct as a person, as a member, individual member, or a corporate member. We have all the industry. I mean,
you have professors, I also noticed.
Yeah, we have professors, we have businessmen, I mean, we have billionaires. So
is it government or semi-government?
No. It's the WTFI, World Tourism Forum Institute, totally non-governmental. I mean, but of course we are working with the governments. I mean, because this is half of our job. Because if you want to do the tourism business, if you want to implement tourism business, you have to work with the governments. That's why we are working. But the financial structure, we are totally private sector supported.
When you first Global Tourism Forum started?
Yeah, this is the thing that I was explaining. So when we moved to the name World Tourism Forum to Institute, then we put our event name as a Global Tourism Forum. Actually, Global Tourism Forum is not a new. I mean, it's something like combined. It's coming from 2015 till 2020, the World Tourism Forum. Then it evolved to Global Tourism Forum. Actually, it's all of them is the combination.
Okay. And how has the Global Tourism Forum changed since its early days?
Actually, GTF, unfortunately, when we start this event series, so both of them, World Tourism or Global Tourism Forum, this event series, when the COVID started, the life has changed. Because, I remember, at that time, we were traveling a lot to Ethiopia. We had a contract with the government of Ethiopia in 2020.
How did you find yourself in Ethiopia? Because I was thinking, what was your first global tourism country? I thought it was your home country.
No, it
Maybe
was
it
first
was
in Istanbul.
Brussels,
Yes, it was
Istanbul.
first in
Okay.
Istanbul.
Okay.
We host very big programs in Istanbul first. Of course, so I'm Turkish citizen, and then it's more easy for me.
So you're Turkish.
Yeah, it's more easy for me to make something implemented. It's very easy. But right after then, we decided to move. Because you can do a lot of things in Turkey, but you have to move other destinations and you have to implement the new projects there.
Okay.
Then how we start the first abroad project is in the Ghana, Accra. So in 2016, I think it was October, 10th of October, we organized a very big event in Ghana, and then president come, and then all the industry come, and then it was amazing. Then the second abroad project that we work is in Moscow. We make very good project in Moscow in 2017, January.
Was it during St. Petersburg Economic Forum?
No. The St. Petersburg Economic Forum, that then come after. So when we only organize one time in Moscow, then the current situation, and after then
So
we carry it
basically,
on.
you don't come under the umbrella of a big event.
We only come under the umbrella of big events. Not umbrella, actually, at the same time we are organizing during the Davos. So now the Global Tourism Forum is that we are organizing every year in Brussels. So it's fixed. We are not moving. It's a permanent place for us. Every year in the end of October or first weeks of November, we organize with the support of the European Union. So this is our flagship event. Plus this, we host one event in Africa. It depends the destination, West, East, or South Africa. So it depends on the country, and then.
And how do you usually
readiness.
get this kind of projects?
So the third one is we organize every year one event during the Davos, one day. So this is because the Davos is World Economic Forum, everybody is there, and then that's why it's more easy for us, and we are the only platform that is speaking tourism during the Davos.
Which makes you outstanding.
Exactly.
By the way.
When I'm coming to your question, so what is the difference Global Tourism Forum and the others? So most of the people are thinking that we are a trade expo, trade show, etc. But we are totally different than that, because as the Global Tourism Forum, we are directly and dedicated focusing on the governance, tourism governance, money, and the implementation of the investment.
Okay, then let's speak about sustainability.
Sure, of course. Sustainability in the tourism, when you're coming back, you see, for example, today, Venice, they are suffering a lot because of the over-tourism. Italy is over-tourism. Spain is over-tourism. So sustainability is the must if we are implementing tourism, especially new destinations that they are focusing on there, because they have ambitions. They want to get more and more tourists. But when you come back to the story, okay, you will get more tourists in 10 years. But after then, if your structure is, your infrastructure is ready, as well, you are supporting the sustainability or not. This is the most important thing.
So basically, you want to say that tourism belongs too much on the geopolitical situation as well.
Of course. This is must. This is, like the Bible, item 1. So, the geopolitical, without the security, without the geopolitical structure, how you can drive the tourism. So my point is this, I always say that. First, security. Second, mobility. If you have security, you have the chance to drive the tourism. But security is not only enough to drive the tourism. You need as well mobility. Mobility means you need the aircraft, you need the train, you need the roads, I mean, I can tell a lot of examples to you. I mean, today, when you go to Europe, one destination, for example, from Dubai, now we are in Dubai, with Emirates, we can fly easily to the Brussels. But when I'm in Brussels, I can easily drive the train, and then we can go everywhere where we want in Europe. So this is the mobility. But when I'm in Nepal, I had the experience. I went to visit the several government officials and the new elected prime minister. So the guys are amazing. I mean, the leadership amazing. The new guys, that they are trying to do something. They are trying to develop their country. But what I see from Kathmandu is the capital city to do. They say that there is some almost 150 kilometers away from the Kathmandu. I forgot the city name, but it's all the cheetahs, tigers, and everything is there. So I visit as a national park there. Can you imagine how many hours you can spend on 160 kilometers? Tell me. I spent 9 hours.
9 hours.
Yeah,
And what was the transport?
It doesn't matter transport. There's no road.
There's no road.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this is
Changes
the
whole
public is doing
situation.
this every day.
And there were wildlife around you.
No. Wildlife is there, but different. The thing is, the main topic that I'm going to explain. I mean, normally with the civilized destinations, you take this destination almost maximum 2 hours, but 9 hours, because it's not that it's too far or it's too risky, because there is no infrastructure, there's no road.
Exactly.
The roads there is, but it's not like the roads that we see here.
Plus, we also need to mention technology, in the tourism.
Yeah, I mean, the tourism and technology is there together. I mean, you cannot separate them with the AI and now the new coming things, especially, for example, before, when you come back, when I was a student, we have a course is called like that, tour operators, okay? And they were teaching us how to be ticketing, how to do like this.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, after then, what we saw that it too much fast change. Okay, I mean, first we see that the computers, after computers come, and then the applications come, and now AI come, and then nobody is using it. Me personally, I never ask my PA to book my ticket from the application. Me personally, I book all my tickets.
So it's easy. Okay, yeah. Which destinations do you believe are setting the best example for sustainable tourism today?
So, first of all, what I can tell you, each destination has their unique soul. Okay, because most of the people are asking me which one you like. So I like all of them. Why? Because all of them has a different soul. For example, if you wanna go and see the calm beach, you have to go to Madagascar, north of Madagascar, or Seychelles, or Mauritius. But the beach is there is different than in Maldives as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you want to go to the Atlantic Ocean, you have to go to Angola.
No, this is you are speaking as for tourists, but I'm speaking for the business. What is the best? For
the business, of course. So there are. So if you are a businessman, you can smell the environment, and there are always opportunities.
Okay, then.
But the most important thing, you have to go there.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the last time that we organized the event in Angola, and then you were there. So I told all of my friends, look, listen, what I tell you here, it will not make sense. After when we left this table, everybody will go and do their business. So what I invite you,
it's better to jump in
come here,
now.
Come to Angola, see, and then you observe. Because for example, as a Bulut Baji, what I can tell you, when I go a destination, I can see with my eyes and my experience. But as a Tatiana, when you go there, you can see with your experience and your eyes. It means that what I propose the investors and the entrepreneurs, when they are doing a business, they have to first, not with the reports, they have to go, see, physically test the environment, especially as a new country.
So basically, you've done the Angola Investment Summit there, yeah? Can you tell more about it?
So Angola Investment Summit Angola is now taking off in the tourism, and then they have a lot of investments done, especially infrastructure investment. They have an amazing airport now. They just opened that in 6 months ago, and
I've
now
seen
they are,
myself. Really amazing.
yeah, and now
Super
they are
comfortable.
going, yeah, they are going to open the new convention center as well. They are very ambitious on tourism, and then Minister Marcio is very strong, and then he has a big ambitions.
The
with
Minister of Tourism.
Yeah, Minister of Tourism, and as well the President Lorenzo. I mean, this is it's a vision, his vision.
Visionary.
Yeah, visionary, and then he knows that even when someone invests one hotel, it will create minimum 500 jobs, 600 jobs. He knows, he see this, and because all the surrounding countries like South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, and then they are benefiting from this, and now this is the right time to invest in Angola. And then we did a very amazing job there. Almost 2,000 delegates attend, and then all high level, the President of Mozambique, President of Angola, Prime Minister of Namibia, United Nations Tourism Secretary General, WTTC Secretary General. So all the tourism industry,
list is impressive.
big guys are there. But the most important thing, what is the result? Because this is the most important thing what I say. Because this is like when you go to the market after, then where is the check? What is coming? Okay. So the result is we signed 11 MOUs, plus we signed 3 MOUs in Berlin. And then we have 14 MOUs we signed, and now we are driving very good investment projects in Angola.
And how many hospitality groups are bringing there?
So almost after now we are still driving it, but what is coming that there are almost 5 ongoing restaurant, gastronomy investments, as well the
hotels.
Yeah, hotel investments.
Because I noticed hotels. Hilton will be there, correct? Sheraton will be there.
Yeah. Hilton, Sheraton, and then big brands will be
and
there. And
huge operators like TUI.
Yeah, TUI was there. But Tatiana, it's as well it needs time, when these things are done. After then, so it's now feasibility study, and then now these things are happening.
It takes time.
Yeah, it takes time. But we can see the results, concrete results, with end of the year or first months of the 2027.
People were excited. I've seen myself, by the way. Okay, let's summarize. What make investors say yes to a tourism project, and what are the 3 things that they look for? Okay.
What makes investors yes?
Yes.
So ROI. This is the most important thing, return on investment. For example, if I'm investing 1 million euro, so I have to see how many months or how many years or when I will get this money back.
Okay, let's take 3 type of investors.
Yeah.
Young entrepreneurs who own like 100,000 euro, 1 million and 10 million. What would you advise for these 3 types of entrepreneurs?
So what can I advise, especially for the young generation? So the tourism is going to be full technology. They have to dedicate themselves to the technology. Otherwise, they will burn their money. For the mid-sized entrepreneurs, the gastronomy business is always profitable, but they have to do in the right destination.
Okay.
Otherwise, again, they will burn their money. But when you are coming,
what do you mean by burn their money?
They will lose it.
But Bulut, when you come to a project, you have a business plan.
It doesn't matter.
How would you
burn
the whole budget?
It doesn't matter, Tatiana. Because what I can tell you, money will not finish with spending, personal spending. Money will finish with the wrong decisions.
Yes, okay. Operating costs are very high.
When you start, especially when you are an entrepreneur, you cannot feel it. Because
young entrepreneur.
Even mid-size. Most of them are doing the same because they see, because they love it, and they fall in love with the business.
Excited.
For example, I saw a lot of stories. Most of my friends when we are studying together, some of them became top at top. Some of them is still surviving, trying to survive. Why? Because who fall in love with the business, they cannot see what will happen.
The analytics.
Yeah, exactly.
So, no analytics.
They cannot see. They are making. It will go and it will burn all its money.
Okay.
So that's why the most important thing. My rule is this: when I'm starting a new business, when my business is making minus 3 months, I say, let it go. I don't keep in my hand.
Correct. So it's better to close.
As well, when my business is at the peak point, I sell it out.
Mm-hmm.
But before, when I'm coming to my young ages, it was not like that. I say always, okay, let's wait, it will recover. So it's never recovering. When the business is business, it's making money. But when it's not making money, okay, to forget it.
Do your companies do consultancy for the new businesses coming? Okay, let's take Angola. For example, you are super experienced in this area. Would your companies give consultancy for other businessmen who will...
No, we are not doing that. We are not doing it because we are too much occupied with the governments. I mean, we are only giving the advisory to the governments.
So
for the private sector, we are not providing any advice.
Now the hotels will be opening. Okay, I understood. So you are very busy.
Yeah.
Okay, and finally, when you look ahead, what is your vision for the Global Tourism Forum for the next decade?
What is our vision? Now we are positioning ourselves for the United States. We are going to host an event in US as a summit. Actually, it's 2027 in September during the UNGA, United Nations General Assembly.
How many guests do you expect?
We expect that the first year 500, then it will grow up, expand, like the Brussels, how we did.
Government and sovereign
funds, sovereign funds and the investors. As well, vice versa, we are planning to do the same in the China.
Okay.
So this is our plan. I mean, in a year, the positioning is hosting 5 events, 5 forums, with the different destinations, and this is our expansion plan.
Bulut, and how to get invitation to your forum?
So first, you have to pay expensive tickets, or you have to get invited. This is the only.
Like in Davos.
Yeah. In Davos event that we are organizing in Davos, we are not selling the tickets. It's only invitation only. And the Brussels is, I don't know, the prices was last year €7,000 per ticket for 2 days. But I don't know this year how much is the price.
In Davos, 15,000.
No, last year,
30,000.
We didn't
I've heard
sell
this number.
Yeah, Davos, World Economic Forum is like that, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Mira Business FM team wishes you good luck, all your companies.
Thank you.
The Global Tourism Forum. And thank you so much for coming. And for our listeners, I would like to say that today in the studio we had Bulut Baji, the president and founder of Global Tourism Forum.
Thank
you. Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.